special night at Minute Maid Park as former Astro Bob Watson receives the prestigious BAT Lifetime Achievement Award. Baseball assistance team Lance McCullers will be on the mound tonight for the Houston Astros with a Major League best record of 30-15, taking on the Tigers in the middle game or second game of a four-game series as we approach the midpoint of the longest homestand of the year. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Astros Baseball. Todd Callis alongside Mike Stanton filling in for Jeff Blum for this series. And Mike, what a way to start that series, a 1-0 win against a very good pitcher.
Well, when you look at, on paper, Detroit Tigers had every advantage yesterday. Brad Peacock starting, hadn't started all season. They had the best pitcher, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, and Michael Fulmer on the mound. The Astros pitching did an unbelievable, great job in holding down that powerful Tigers offense to have that 1-0 win.
One hit between four different pitchers. Tonight, they hand the ball off to Lance McCullers Jr.
Lance McCullers, this young man has really set the bar high for himself. You look at the numbers, what he's done over the last three starts, and I think the point that we have to make here, those are all three on the road. We know here at Minute Maid Park, this guy has been just outstanding in his career with a 2.11 ERA in 24 starts. That's pretty historic numbers. On the road, you can pretty much double that, maybe even a little bit more. He has just not pitched as well on the road, but you can see on the right-hand side, the last three starts all on the road, everything is trending in the right direction. He's thrown strikes, he's had strikeouts, the walk rate has gone down, the ground ball rate has gone up. He has done a really good job of controlling the other team's offenses.
It's been fun to watch. Lance is on a roll. Hopefully it continues tonight against the Tigers. We'll have plenty more when we come back as we get ready for the first pitch. Julian Morales right around the corner.
set between the Tigers and the Astros. The Astros getting win number 30 yesterday. It was a big one, and they needed to bounce back from a rough weekend. They also were going into a day where they usually have their stopper or their ace, Dallas Keuchel, on the mound, but he's on the 10-day DL right now, so they looked for the next guy up. It was Brad Peacock, but this group, with a great pitching performance, got it done to get win number 30. But it actually started the day before. Our Shiner Light Blood Spotlight takes us back a day before, because this is how pitching works. It could be a domino effect. So it started with Asher Tolliver being called up from AAA. He pitched 4 innings strong to stop the Indians or hold them for a while, but he also helped out the bullpen that day. So that bled over to the next day. Brad Peacock getting the start, doing an exceptional job against the Tigers. He handed the ball off to Chris Davinsky, the Astros' best reliever, who handed it off to the closer, Ken Giles, and they got the win. It was a combined one-hitter, a very impressive performance by everyone yesterday, but like I said, it's a team effort. But for A.J. Hinch, yesterday, everything worked perfectly pitching-wise. He was able to hand things off or hand it off to the people he wanted to, put him in the best situation to get a win, and that's exactly what happened. He used Giles last night. Like I said, he's had a back-to-back now, but Giles coming through, Davinsky getting the win. Stay tuned. This Astros team is looking to keep that rolling, keep the pitching going. It's Lance McCullers getting the ball tonight. Don't go anywhere. First pitch is coming up next.
Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Welcome back to Minute Maid Park. Tonight, game 2 of a 4-game series between the Astros and the Tigers. Before the game, a great honor bestowed upon Bob Watson, the legendary Astro, the prestigious Lifetime Achievement Award for the Baseball Assistance Team, presented to Bob Watson by the Commissioner of Baseball, Rob Manfred. We're going to have the Commissioner up in the booth in the second inning. This is a Twitter Tuesday. Get your questions ready, and also tweet your favorite baseball cards to @RootSportsSW. Take a look at the Tigers lineup tonight in the second game against the Houston Astros, and they will line it up like this for Brad Ausmus. Ian Kinsler had his 8-game hitting streak snap last night. Nicholas Castellanos has played and started every game at third base for the Tigers. Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, J.D. Martinez, quite a 3 through 5. And then Justin Upton leads the team in runs scored in the 6th spot. Mikey Matuk, James McCann, and Jose Iglesias round out your Tigers lineup.
All right, it's time now for the Mini Countryman player profile. And that player is Lance McCullers. We take a little look at what he's done this year. This young man has a very high upside, loves his breaking ball, and it's for good reason. This is quite possibly one of the best breaking balls in the game. He throws it hard. It's got good depth. He has good command of it, and he's had a lot of success in his career due to that breaking ball.
Lance facing the Detroit Tigers for just the second time in his career. The first time was his first major league win. Lance coming off 3 consecutive brilliant starts on the road. Makes his first start here at Minute Maid Park since the first day of the month, May 1st, against the Texas Rangers. And we're underway on a Tuesday night with a called strike to Ian Kinsler. Kinsler coming in batting .240. Hit a leadoff home run on the Sunday night baseball game against the Rangers. His second of the season, the 42nd leadoff home run of his career. Lance will always have that pitch, as you heard Mike Stanton talk about the power curve, but he's also gone a lot more fastball changeup during this recent run.
The changeup is really the key to Lance McCullers' future. He's a 2-pitch pitcher, but he is getting more and more confidence every start with that changeup.
Fastball in on the hands of Kinsler.
You know, Todd, it's a little bit of a chicken or the egg thing. Which comes first, using the pitch or confidence in the pitch? Either way, he's getting confidence in it. He's using it more, and it's actually becoming a pretty big pitch for him. Uses it about 20% of the time in his last 3 starts.
And that is a big jump up from last year, when he used it roughly 6 or 7% of the time, and really at times struggled with throwing that pitch where he wanted.
Well, the problem is Lance is a power pitcher, which means he's out there. He's usually throwing the ball as hard as he can, whether it's fastball or breaking ball. And the changeup is a feel pitch. And what I mean by that is you really have to feel how it comes out of your hand. Really have to pay attention to what your hand location is if you're turning the ball over or anything like that. What's happening right now is he's trusting that pitch. He's going, hey, go ahead and use it. Go ahead and throw it like a fastball. He still throws it a little hard, but he's getting good depth on it. And that was, unfortunately, that was the changeup.
That was the changeup that got away from him.
That was the changeup right there. First one of the day. We'll take a look at it right here, and you'll see it's supposed to be down and away. It just gets away from him arm side. If you're going to get hit, that's kind of the way to do it. You do it on a changeup, and you kind of glancing blow off the thigh. But unfortunately, not a great start for Lance in this game against Ian Kinsler.
Changeup gets Kinsler on the 2-2 pitch, and now he'll face Nicholas Castellanos. .225 batting average, but a lot of RBIs. Ground ball towards short. Marwin Gonzalez playing short tonight. Flips it to Jose Altuve, and they turn the double play. Lance has been getting more ground balls this season than ever, as we take a look at the AT&T pitch usage.
And what you'll see here is you will see that last 3 starts, he really started working on that changeup. You see the percentage really go up to 20%, and that makes a pretty good weapon when you're facing Lance, when Lance is facing these hitters. And the reason is because now they can't just sit on either the fastball or the breaking ball. First pitch fastball to Castellanos, got a nice easy ground ball, 6-4-3. That's exactly how you want to draw it up. Get that ball to one of your best players and roll it on the ground, nice and easy 3-hop.
You saw Marwin Gonzalez getting the start tonight at shortstop. Carlos Correa a little bit ill coming to the ballpark, so he is out of the lineup tonight. Jake Marisnick's also getting a start. He's in center field tonight. George Springer moves over to right, and Josh Reddick to left. And Lance is dealing with a new battery mate, as Miguel Cabrera has a count of 1-2. Juan Centeno gets his first start as a Houston Astro.
Well, we'll have to see how this combination, how they work together. And what's really going to have to happen is Lance is going to have to lead this show. Juan hasn't been here. He doesn't know the league nearly as well. Lance needs to make sure he calls his game, even if he has to shake to get to the pitch.
Centeno did not catch McCullers this spring. caught him on some side sessions, but never caught him in a game. They were trying to get as many reps with Brian McCann and the 5 they thought would be the starting rotation.
Well, and Juan knows the stuff. That's okay. It's how he's going to use the stuff, and it's how often is he going to have to shake to get to the pitch he wants to throw. You know, Lance has power stuff, and I think we'll be fine here. But we'll just have to keep an eye, see how the tempo of the game goes, see if Lance is really having to shake Juan off to get to the pitch he wants to.
2 pitches fouled away.
See, that looks like a 2-seam fastball. That's actually the changeup. He throws it 89 to 91, but you saw some nice run and some nice depth going down and into Miguel Cabrera. We'll take a look at that pitch right here. You can see the awkward spin and that ball trying to work back to the inside part of the plate. I know it's not a big-time speed differential pitch, but you saw there's enough there to get the hitter off balance.
On the ground, Cabrera towards his buddy Altuve, and Jose makes the play for the final out of the inning. Astros turn to bat in the bottom half of the first. Southwest Airlines. Here's how A.J. Hinch will bring them out with George Springer in his usual leadoff spot, followed by Josh Reddick, Jose Altuve. No Carlos Correa tonight, so Carlos Beltran moves up to the 4 spot. Marwin Gonzalez gives them back-to-back switch hitters in the 5 spot. Yuli Guriel, Alex Bregman, Juan Centeno, and Jake Marisnick round out your Astros lineup.
Starting for the Detroit Tigers is Jordan Zimmermann. We'll take a look at his numbers right here. He has not gotten off to a good start. The slider has been hit hard. The fastball really hasn't been there. You can see the velocity. He's spending a little more time at the lower end of that velocity, and he's throwing a few more curveballs, trying to figure something out to get big league hitters out. And this guy came over a couple years ago as a free agent and has really never materialized into the pitcher that he was with the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, put together quite a resume in the National League, but last year not so much, and this year it's been a struggle for Jordan Zimmermann, who's allowed at least 4 runs in 6 of his last 7 starts.
Yeah, Todd, there's only been 1 start all season that he's given up less than 3, and that was in the very first start in the win against a 4-1 win against Boston back in early April.
That's the pitch that used to be so devastating, that slider that people aren't chasing as much anymore. And part of it has to do with he's not getting ahead with that fastball command.
Well, and that's the key. We talked about it last night. To any pitcher, you need to be ahead regardless of how hard or soft you throw. And the slider really hasn't had the bite either. We've seen a couple right here, the examples of that pitch, and it's more of a cutter. We're not seeing that depth, that vertical break that a pitcher's always looking for to get the ground balls that we were used to seeing Jordan Zimmermann be able to get the hitters to do.
3-1 pitch on the inside corner, 3-2.
Let's take a look at our strike zone presented by MD Anderson. You see the catcher is set up away. He throws it in, but remember what I said last night. The catcher's just a mere suggestion. That was right underneath the umpire's nose, and Carlos Torres is behind the dish tonight.
Ringer fouls off that 3-2 pitch. Well, Zimmerman's faced the Astros before, but he has not faced them since 2014. This is the 5th time, or 6th time actually, he's faced the Astros, but he's a different pitcher now than he was in 2014, at least with his effectiveness.
Not nearly as sharp of a pitcher as he was back then. Back then, he was one of the more underrated pitchers in the National League. Now, he's just trying to figure out a way with lesser stuff to get big league hitters out. And you know, he's a veteran guy. He's trying new things. We talked about how he's using his curveball a little bit more. He's using his changeup a little bit more. This is a guy that needs to step up. If this team is going to compete in the Central, they've got a couple young guys in that rotation. They need a veteran presence pitching well.
We saw the other half of that veteran presence in the rotation. Justin Verlander looking on. 3-2 pitch is inside, ball 4. So a good extended at bat by George Springer draws a walk to start the bottom half of the 1st inning. Don't forget, this is a Twitter Tuesday on Root Sports, so here's what you can do. You can tweet us in the booth all night long, and here's our topic tonight. Our theme is going to be tweet us the pictures of your favorite baseball cards or card collecting memory. We also have a special guest coming to the booth in the top half of the 2nd inning. That's going to be the Commissioner of Baseball, Rob Manfred. So you can tweet a question to him as well. So at Root Sports SW, the hashtag is Stros Tuesday. Josh Reddick takes a called strike, 0-1.
I actually had that first card of Nolan Ryan put out by Upper Deck.
Did you?
With the 3 different views of his delivery all put into one picture. Very, very cool card.
We're going to take a look at that after this pitch. It's 0-1 to Josh Reddick. Reddick coming in with a .286 batting average. Josh playing left field tonight.
George slipped right there coming back into first base. Yeah, that's a cool card. And you know, Nolan Ryan, I didn't have very many guys I really idolized as a kid, but Nolan Ryan was definitely one of them. And his longevity, how hard he threw all the way up into the end, just you know, obviously Texas boy. I got drafted out of Alvin Community College. He's from Alvin. A lot of things drew me to Nolan Ryan.
How about this card? Joe Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
A sweet pea back in the 60s.
Look at the catcher's mitt. Look how high that pitch is. Joe made a feast off of pitches right there.
Kind of Altuve-esque.
Yes.
Or the other way around.
Yeah.
The other way around. Altuve like Morgan-esque. 1-1 pitch, broken bat. Little flare into shallow center. That's going to fall for a base hit. Matuk plays it on one hop. And the Astros have the first 2 runners on in this bottom of the 1st.
Sometimes it's not how hard you hit them, it's where you hit them. We're going to take a look at our Super Moat brought to us by Mattress Firm. You're going to see the swing here. The pitch is on the inside part of the plate. That ball gets way up on the label. But because of the swing itself, and you see it was a slider, he's able to fight it up over Ian Kinsler's head at second base into center field. Astros got something cooking here in the bottom of the 1st.
Well, that's what happens when you're struggling, as Jordan Zimmerman is. You get in on the barrel, break a bat, and you still end up giving up a base hit. So now here's Jose Altuve. Altuve riding an 8-game hitting streak. Takes a pitch in the dirt for a ball, 1-0. When things aren't going well and you're out there battling, and you mentioned this is a veteran pitcher, you get one in on and where you want it, break the bat,
actually make a quality pitch, and still you don't get the results.
And now we're going to have a little visit at the mound. 3 batters into this game. Brad Ausmus and the assistant athletic trainer for the Tigers come out to the mound. And that was just a quick visit right there. Apparently everything's okay, but it's never good when you have to look at the starter in the 1st inning.
Well, Jordan has not been sharp at the beginning. We showed you the pitch on George Springer. Catcher set up away, throws the ball in. Actually makes a pretty good pitch on Reddick, but he really does not have the command and control that he once did. And it's got to be frustrating when you're a veteran guy, you've been doing it for so long, and you just simply can't figure out what the issue is.
High fly ball. Medium right center field. Springer's tagging. Matuk with the catch. No go by George, and the throw comes all the way in. Good thing George didn't test it.
All right, it's time to play, presented by Toyota. We're going to take a look at Zimmerman's fastball average against and what the Astros do against fastballs. And you can see fastball has not been a good pitch as far as results for Jordan Zimmerman has been concerned. And for the Astros, we know that they like to feast on the fastball. So George's really going to try and work on the slider, the curveball, and the changeup, see if he can keep these Astros hitters off balance some. Altuve had a pitch to hit right there, 1-0, and just got underneath a little bit of a big swing, didn't get on top of it, didn't get the result, just a fly out, easy fly out to center.
And Altuve has been crushing fastballs all year long. Pitch to Carlos Beltran's a breaking ball, 1-0.
I believe that was his first curveball, and ball just simply, again, doesn't have the command that he's trying to look for the release point on all his pitches, and that one just stays arm side. Really a non-factor pitch way off the plate.
Beltran tied for the team lead in doubles with 10. Picked up his 10th double in last night's game, and now he's ahead of the count 2-0. Nobody has more at bats in their career on the Astros roster against Jordan Zimmerman than Carlos Beltran.
I think that's going to be a common theme this year, because Carlos has been around in both leagues for so long.
Foul at the plate, 2-1.
That was a pretty good pitch there by Jordan Zimmerman. That was a four-seam fastball. Catcher set up on the inside part of the plate. That catcher is James McCann. He actually got the ball in there and tied up Carlos on that swing.
When they came out to the mound, they were looking at the top of his thumb, just a little bit of blood on the pitching hand, the top of the thumb. 2-1 pitch is fouled. It's 2-2.
See the blood right there on the top of his right thumb. He's also been wiping it on his pants. Now, it's his thumb. It shouldn't really be that much of an issue as if it was your index finger or your middle finger. And you can see he's wiping it on his pants to get the blood off. And he probably caught a fingernail. That's quite off. That happens quite often. Throws a certain pitch, catches his thumb with his fingernail, and it bleeds for a little bit. But that should not be an issue going forward for Jordan Zimmerman. You see the high fastball right there to Carlos Beltran, not able to get on top, swings underneath. Big out right there for Jordan. He can get out of this after getting the first two guys on. The Astros just haven't been able to do anything the last two at-bats. He can actually get out of it without any damage right here.
Well, the Astros have not done well recently with runners in scoring position. In fact, you have to go back 3 games ago to Friday night in the first inning, the last time the Astros had a hit with a runner in scoring position.
We talked about it in the open, how the difference in the approach between the road Astros and the home Astros. And they've actually been doing extremely well on the road with runners in scoring position. Here at home, they've actually struggled quite a bit.
Springer on second, Reddick on first. 0-1 the count to the team leader in home runs and runs batted in, Marwin Gonzalez. Marwin with 7 of his 10 home runs as a left-hand hitter. Now he's down to the count 0-2. Zimmerman felt like his curveball his last start was better than it had been for about the last 4 or 5 starts. The slider has still been a little bit of a work in progress.
And that's the pitch that has made him so successful over the years. It's the running fastball away from a lefties into a righty, and the slider. The curveball, it's not a new pitch. He's been throwing it for a long time, but since the slider hasn't been working the way he wants it to, he's actually trying to incorporate that curveball. There's another curveball right there. And you can see there's just not a lot of consistency with that pitch. The break of it is okay, but he's really searching for the release point on it. And it's important that he keeps throwing it, Todd. And the reason it is if he's throwing it, the hitters have to at least consider the pitch.
Last night, Michael Fulmer worked through the first inning in 24 pitches, and after that really settled in. Jordan Zimmerman up to 21 pitches in this inning. And a fastball swing and a miss. Zimmerman comes back to strike out Beltran and Gonzalez to end the inning. The commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred, will join us next.
MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever with great picture quality and a free at-bat premium subscription, so you can watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Todd?
All right, Julia, we're seeing a lot of base hits by Bob Watson, number 27 in his Astros career. Right. And we are joined by the Commissioner of Baseball, Rob Manfred. Commissioner, great to see you.
Good to see you again.
What a special night it was for Bob Watson.
It's a great night. You know, he's really a great guy. You know, it's not often you can say about somebody, major league player, won a World Series as a GM, was a great executive when he was in the commissioner's office, and did fantastic charity work for BAT. I mean, that's quite 4 real accomplishments.
Baseball's assistance team, which he was such a big part of, and does such great work. And it's kind of quiet work, but it's so necessary.
It really is important. And, you know, when I first started the game, I heard people talk about the baseball family, and I think BAT is the epitome of the fact that there really is a baseball family. Our players, our active players, are so generous in terms of contributing to BAT and, you know, taking care of guys who played before them. So it really is a family activity.
Well, the BAT organization, it actually goes way back, and they've been doing work behind the curtains for a long, long time. Talk to us about what your involvement with BAT is.
Well, you know, I was actually around. I hate to say this because it makes me sound old. When Commissioner Uberoff started BAT, it was originally his brainchild. And I was involved in the early years in terms of drafting some of the documents and getting it set up as a charity. And then over the years, I've had involvement in individual cases. I've worked with BAT in terms of getting a board together that was able not only to administer the funds that they had, but guys like Bob Watson took it to the next level in terms of making it a self-sustaining organization.
When you come here to Houston and you get to enjoy a little baseball, we just saw Francisco Lindor this past weekend. Carlos Correa not playing tonight, obviously a young star. You've got Mike Trout. You've got Harper, you've got all these Judge, you've got all the Machado, all 25 or younger.
Right. Our young complement right now, I think people in the game really believe it's unique. It's been decades since we had a group that's so outstanding in terms of the quality of the players that we have right now. I got lucky in that regard. I think I took over the game at a point in time. And, you know, years ago, people were saying, well, gee, you're not signing players out of Puerto Rico. There's not players coming from Puerto Rico. Well, there's 2 shortstops pretty darn good right now. So, you know, we're very fortunate in that regard. And it's not just that they play the game on the field. I think that our players, particularly this young group, they're engaging with our fans, really good people, interested in giving back to their communities, anxious to promote the game. Couldn't ask for better.
What is Major League Baseball doing? What do you have coming in trying to promote all these young budding superstars?
Well, everything that we're doing in terms of marketing the game is focused on individual players. At the end of the day, it's all about the players. You know, you don't sell tickets based on anybody sitting in New York. You don't sell tickets based on uniforms. You sell tickets based on who the players are. So if you look at this year in baseball, our advertising campaign, institutional campaign, all about players featuring guys like Rizzo, Bryant, Mike Trout, and they're giving us time that allows us to focus on the game. We're also working with our broadcast partners on doing player-focused pieces during games. There was a great one, my personal favorite so far this year, ESPN did one with Stephen Vogt, who sings Disney songs. They actually had him on during the broadcast, and it was the greatest thing. You know, I can't remember who was doing the interview, but he'd say, you know, The Little Mermaid or some Disney song, and the player would sing. It was unbelievable. He could really sing, and he knew all the songs. But, you know, it shows our fans what they want to see, that there's another side to these guys. They're well-rounded. They're interesting. They're amusing. And our partners, Fox, has equally been focused on player pieces this year. So it's an overall effort. The last thing I'd say to you, we have coming in 2019 a relationship with Under Armour. There's no better way to market players than to have a consumer brand like Under Armour on the field and dealing with your players. That was a long answer, Mike. I'm sorry.
That was a good one, though.
The other thing that
exactly what I wanted to hear.
The other thing I love, we did an analytics show on our broadcast a couple of days ago where we're really diving into more numbers. And numbers are becoming so prevalent in the game of baseball. And I love the fact that there's so much access now through StatCast. MLB has really incorporated a way for fans to enjoy this game on a different level.
You know, I did a little thing with the print media before the game, and I got asked about your broadcast, as a matter of fact. Somebody said, they asked me about it, you know, what do you think about that? Look, I think I think statistics and analysis of the game are a way to deepen the fans' engagement with the game. It allows the average fan to understand better what's happening on the field. You know, a baseball guy can look at the route that a center fielder takes and realize that's what makes him, because they know that by intuition. But when you can show them the data that explains that, yeah, actually, not only was this guy fast, but he picked exactly the right route, that helps people understand why a particular player is good.
Where are we with instant replay and that whole process? What do you have in store for us coming up?
Well, I like where we are on replay. I'm a believer in replay. I think that it was responsive to a fundamental fan desire that we use technology to get calls right. So our focus more recently has been on the mechanics and the time involved. So this year we've shortened the time. We actually put a time limit on how long the manager has to challenge. One of the things people don't like is, you know, the putting the hand up or the slow walk. You know, I've heard it all, believe me. So, you know, the managers have been great about getting it done within that 30 seconds. Secondly, we have sort of a soft limit in the replay room of 2 minutes. You know, if you can't, with our technology, it's so good. If you can't figure it out in 2 minutes, you're probably not going to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So we're just trying to make sure that we're responsive. We use replay where the fans want it, but it doesn't become another thing that slows the game down too much.
I think there have been great additions. The 30-second rule, the 2-minute rule, it really gets things going. And like you said, if we're cutting it that close and you can't tell at 2 minutes, the play should stand.
Well, the other piece I should mention, and I am at heart a technology guy. One of the things we've done, you know, the first couple of years of replay, I would look at every one. You know, I get an email with every replay in the morning, and I started playing this game with myself. I wouldn't look at the description of how the play came out. I try to look at the replay and figure it out myself. And I'll tell you something, I was not very good at it. But now we have all these super slow motion cameras at first base. So many of the plays are out or safe at first. When you have that super slow motion, it makes it easy, and it makes it faster because the technology is so good.
Correct me if I'm wrong. For you, the time of game is one thing, but it's the ability to have action going and not a span of time where there's nothing going on.
That's exactly right. You can't manage time of game. Anybody that's been around the game, obviously I didn't play, but been around the game as long as time is related to runs and, you know, competitive things that you're never going to be able to control. What we're trying to do is just get a little focus on the dead time. Time in between pitches, a really important consideration. Mound visits we're looking at, things where nothing's happening. We don't want to, you know, skew the game in one club's favor or another. We just want to deal with dead time. I said it downstairs in the press conference. Being in favor of dead time in the game is like being in favor of obesity, right? You don't want to be there.
So how are we doing with pace of play?
Well, you know, I would say this year we have really not made good progress. I mean, I just got to tell you the truth. I think that the trends that we're seeing that were of concern to us last year have been exacerbated. We're about to embark on a series of focused conversation with the Players Association on this topic. One thing, you know, you learn when you have my previous jobs, you know, if you're going to do something that directly affects the play of the game on the field, if you don't have the players, you're going to fail. And we're going to work with the players, try to hear their ideas, explain to them what we see as the problems, hear their ideas, give them our ideas, and hopefully we'll come up with a program for next year that'll help address this issue.
One thing I heard in your previous answer was time between pitches. Do you think there will be a pitch clock someday?
Me personally, I am a pitch clock fan. I actually think that, you know, I think we looked at it in conjunction with the owners meeting last week. 67% of the pitchers in the major leagues pitched with a pitch clock in the minor leagues, because we've had it for a few years now. If they did it there, I suspect they can probably do it at the big league level as well.
Commissioner, great to talk to you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much
really
for joining us.
Good to see you, Mike. It's been a long time.
It has been.
Thank you. Commissioner Rob Manfred joining us in the booth. We are through an inning and a half.
Look at our Chevy Stro poll. We know you're on Twitter because it's Twitter Tuesday, so make sure that you check out our Twitter page at Root Sports SW to find the pinned tweet, because this is our question of the day. What was your favorite thing to collect as a kid? Was it comic books, baseball cards, action figures, Hot Wheels? I liked Hot Wheels. Vote and we'll tell you who wins later in the broadcast. We're also asking you to tweet your baseball cards to us. Got a Nellie Fox there. What else we got? Lance McCullers Sr. in the Padres uni. That's a good one.
We're going way back for that one.
I was a Hot Wheels fan too, Julia. Nice. Little orange tracks.
The built-in loop.
The built-in loop.
Yes.
Bottom half of the second inning. So glad we could have the commissioner of baseball stop in. Great man, Rob Manfred. Thing I love about him, I didn't want to say that when he was here because it would seem like we were just pandering to him being here. I love the fact, and you've been in this game long enough to know, that changes can be made at a glacial pace in baseball. But Rob is willing to always look at what can improve this game, and he always goes to different people to get input from all different sides.
He is very open about what he thinks needs to change, what doesn't need to change, and that's something that we haven't had from a commissioner. You know, a guy that is really kind of an open book. You know, he has a tendency to throw things out there to kind of see what.
Guriel sends one deep to left field, and the Astros on the board as Yuli hits a home run. His 4th of the season, and it's 1-0 Houston.
There was that fastball that Jordan Zimmermann throws that he's really not sure where it's going. It was a strike, but you look, catcher is set up away. He throws it middle in, about belt high. Yuli's eyes light up, and he drives that ball off the Lexus side in left field. Big league hitters pound mistakes, and that was definitely a mistake from Jordan Zimmermann.
Hair's not quite as high as it used to be, but they still love messing with it.
Looks like he's put a relaxer on it. When we went to Miami, it kind of changed down there.
Here's Alex Bregman slicing one down the right field line, foul. So Yuli hits a 3-1 pitch for a home run. That's now 10 of 12 home runs allowed by Jordan Zimmermann on his fastball.
Well, he throws a lot of fastballs. That's the first thing. And when you're not able to locate it, and the ball just doesn't have the movement on it that it once did. He's throwing the four-seam fastball. The four-seam fastball usually has a little bit of run, but run meaning it tails into the right-handed hitter. It seems like that ball is straightening out on him, and you mix that with the idea that he's not able to put it where he wants to, now you can understand how he's in trouble.
On the ground, a couple of hops. Iglesias, a very good defensive shortstop, makes the play for out number 1.
Let's take a look at that home run by Yuli Guriel. That fastball just center cut, middle in and up. Jordan Zimmermann knew exactly where this ball was going as soon as he heard the crack of the bat. Yuli's usually trying to stay inside the ball, hit the ball up the middle, hit the ball the opposite field, especially when he has guys on base. But that was one of those. He had an idea where that it was going to be a fastball, so he went ahead and pulled that ball for a home run.
Here's the first at bat for Juan Centeno as a Houston Astro. Centeno played for the New York Mets in 2013-14, the Milwaukee Brewers in 15, the Twins, where he had his career best season last year, and now his first plate appearance as an Astro. Just called up after Brian McCann went on the 7-day concussion list.
You can tell he was lighting it up pretty good down there in Fresno at that .368 batting average.
On the ground, Kinsler is there, 2 away. Before the Guriel home run, you were talking about the commissioner and what he's trying to implement.
He has, every commissioner, they do things differently, just like anyone does. And one of the things that he likes to do is, especially over this last offseason, he likes to throw the ideas that are coming to him, throw them out to the public, throw them out to the media, and see what the response is. And some of them are kind of outrageous. Some of them make sense. The pitch clock was one of them, and I think that people are starting to soften to it just a little bit. We were just talking right before he left. He asked me what I thought about it, which that was kind of neat.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He tries to.
He does.
He tries to find out all the different angles and get opinions from everybody.
And Todd, what I told him was, I don't think it's really that big of a deal, because if you do implement it, you're only talking about, depending on the time that you put on the clock, you're only talking about a handful of guys. You're not talking about, 80% of major league pitchers are going to have to change what their routine is. It's really a very small percentage. And it's not about the time of game. I am so glad for the longest time people were relating time of game and pace of game as the same thing. And they are completely different. And that's one thing that Rob said while he was sitting here with us is the time of game you can't dictate. The game is going to take how long the game takes.
Called third strike on Jake Marisnick. He thought that pitch might have been outside or up, but he goes down looking. But the Astros score first on a Yuli Guriel home run, his 4th of the season. Astros leading 1-0. Building Champions is presented by Advocare. Lance McCullers Jr. in his career at home has been nothing short of brilliant. 24 starts, an ERA of 2.11.
It's really outstanding how well he's pitched here and the consistency in which he's done it. You don't get a 2.11 ERA by having a few good starts. They've pretty much all been good. And 11-4, he's really dominated here. The question is, why has he struggled on the road? Well, it seems like maybe he's figured something out because his last 3 starts on the road, actually he hasn't given up a run at all in 18 innings.
McCullers begins his 3rd inning of work, a little bit extended with the pitch count in the last inning. He threw 24 second inning pitches and up to 39 in the game. That is an area that Lance has continued to improve on this season. Averaged 16.8 his rookie year, pitches per inning, 16.6 last year, and this year 15.7 pitches per inning. Swing and a miss. He's ahead of James McCann, 0-2. Not throwing to Brian McCann today, although he has primarily this season. James McCann, the opposing catcher, coming in with a 200 batting average, 321 career mark against the Houston Astros with 3 home runs. James McCann fouls one back. It stays 0-2.
One of the things that Lance has done so well this season is we're seeing him get ahead the count, spend more time in the zone, and that just makes this outstanding stuff that he has even better.
Towards right field, where Springer waits for 1 out in the 3rd.
And here are the numbers of Lance McCullers Jr. on the road. And you can see in those first 18 starts, 18+ pitches per inning. You see the walk total is at 4.5 and the high ERA. They changed his program in getting ready for the start, prior to the start, so that there's not as much downtime between the time that he's finishing up on the mound in the bullpen and the time he takes the mound. He's warming up a little bit later, maybe a little bit longer, cranking on it in the bullpen just a little bit more, and it really seems like they've figured something out because now he's got a 0 ERA over the last 3 starts on the road. And if he can start pitching on the road as well as he has at home, you're talking about one of the better pitchers in the American League.
And it seemed like the timing of McCullers getting confidence in that changeup coincided perfectly with those last 3 games on the road, because as that confidence in the changeup has risen and he's used the curveball, he has not become as much of a strikeout pitcher, and he's pitching more to contact.
What that really means is he's just spending more time in the zone. Okay, he's not pitching around the zone. There's a lot. He's actually gotten a little bit more pitch efficient as far as the number of pitches he's throwing per inning. You saw that in the graphic. And when that comes is, yeah, his strikeout totals are going to go down because he's getting more early contact. And when you do that, you're able to go deeper in the games because you're just simply not using as many pitches.
2-2 the count to Iglesias. Jose had the game off yesterday. Back in the lineup for Brad Ausmus tonight. On the ground fouled, stays 2-2. Yeah, Lance's last 3 games, he's struck out 4, 7, and 3. 3 against the Miami Marlins, and he was brilliant against the Marlins. 6 innings of 3-hit shutout baseball.
That was a very emotional start for him because he was pitching down in Miami, where his very good friend Jose Fernandez had recently passed away at the end of the season last year. Actually was wearing a glove, wearing shoes in honor of him. So I think there was some pretty good maturity going on in that start, just to put those emotions aside and go out and just do your job very methodically, and that's what he did.
He was pretty amped up early. The one thing he did when he had 2nd and 3rd and 1 out after a ball was lost in the lights by George Springer, when he needed the strikeout, he was able to dig in and get the strikeout against Derek Dietrich and keep those runners at 2nd and 3rd, and ended up working through the inning with a ground out. So even though he's not striking out a lot of hitters, he still has the arsenal when he needs to pick up a big strikeout to get it done.
But one of the other numbers that has increased is his weak contact. That they're just not squaring the ball up against him, which they've never done that a whole lot against Lance. This year, early in the season, they were. The breaking ball was a little bit flatter. He didn't have the command of it, especially on the road. But it does look like he has kind of figured things out over the last couple weeks in his approach to the game, in his process in getting ready for the game.
Saw the meeting with Juan Centeno and Lance McCullers Jr. They've had a couple of extra discussions today just to make sure they're on the same page. We did see a pass ball in the last inning. And there's a fastball that's fouled away. It stays 2-2. Iglesias hanging tough in this at bat. 10 pitches in. Popped up, shallow center. Jake Marisnick is there, 2 away. Lance is through the first time through the lineup with 1 walk and 1 hit batsman. The Coca-Cola Value Nights package is one of the best ballpark bargains you can find. This offer is available for select Monday through Thursday regular season games, and here's what you get: a ticket, a hot dog, a soda, and popcorn for only $18. That's right. Visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS for more info. 2 outs, bases cleared. Ian Kinsler was hit by a pitch his first time up. Takes a fastball for a strike, 0-1.
Todd, that last at bat by Jose Iglesias, 11 pitch at bat, I thought Lance did a good job of keeping his concentration and executing pitch. That's very frustrating when you're standing on the mound, you're throwing a guy the kitchen sink, and he just keeps fouling it off. A lot of times you end up just throwing the ball down the middle. We saw what happened over the weekend with Marwin Gonzalez hitting the home run off of Zach McCallister on the 13th pitch. But he continued to execute pitches, ended up getting the weak fly out to center.
McCullers with a play on the backhand stab on the 1-hopper to the mound. And he is through 3 innings with a 1-0 lead. Bottom half of the third inning. Fresno Taco fan in attendance today. Today is a Twitter Tuesday. Send your favorite baseball cards to add
the signed Blummer card.
Yeah, how about that? Jeff Blum, who has the series off. How about the left-hander for the Atlanta Braves?
Man, that was a long time ago.
Name that year. Can you name it?
1990.
Nice. Bob Lillis.
Maybe 89.
Yankees skipper Joe Girardi. Hashtag of Stros Tuesday. That'll help us find it as well. Or tweet us at Root Sports SW. Your favorite baseball cards or baseball card memories. Getting a lot of responses tonight.
Back before 1994 and the unfortunate strike and lockout that happened, there were so many baseball card companies. Players were actually making more money in revenue from baseball cards than they were in salary, as far as base salary is concerned in Major League Baseball.
Wow. How about that?
That's crazy.
That is unbelievable. How about J.R. Richard? You saw his card there with Nolan Ryan. He was here tonight. High fly ball to right field, all the way to the warning track. And out number one, George Springer flies to right. Eddie Matthews.
That one's worth money. Hall of Famer Eddie Matthews. There's Bill Ripken.
That might have been the one where they had something on the knob of the bat that they couldn't show. Rod Carew and Hank Allen. Pitch down low for a ball, 1-0. Reddick singled his first time up. When you were playing, 2 Mike Stantons, right? Or you were the only one, and then the other Mike Stanton came along?
Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was towards the end. The first Mike Stanton,
right,
which was in the 80s, we did not cross.
Okay. So you never got confused with baseball cards. People
No,
didn't
actually,
send you his or.
Funny thing is, Todd, I still get the older Mike Stanton. I still get his cards.
You do. That's
Yeah,
what I. That's where I was going.
right-handed
That's where I was
reliever.
going. Yeah.
Most of his career he spent in Seattle, and I still had a little afro thing going underneath his hat.
You still get right-handed reliever Mike Stanton
I still get
cards.
right-handed reliever cards, right-handed Mike Stanton cards.
There's the left-handed Mike Stanton.
Nice scruff working.
Look at that.
Look at the jawline. Wish I had that again.
There's a ball fouled back. 2-2. So at some point, do you have, over the years, at least one card from every season you played, or do you just sign them and give them back, or do you have any of your own?
No, I've accumulated some cards. I didn't really collect them, but yeah, I probably somewhere in the archives in a box in the closet somewhere have at least an example of each card.
That's cool.
But like I said, back before '94, a player might have 7 or 8 or 10 different cards because there were so many card companies. The strike in '94, after that really put a big damper.
Well, the daddy's Topps, right? Topps is the big daddy, but then you had Donruss, you had Fleer, you had all kinds of different colors.
Topps is the one that's been around the longest. They actually made it through the strike, and Topps are still around today.
League leaders are presented by Houston Methodist. Most hits since 2012. Robinson Cano just coming off the DL, but he's got a ways to go to catch this guy. Jose Altuve, the other guy, Miguel Cabrera, in the top 3.
Jose has just had a remarkable beginning of his career, and there's really no signs of him letting up. He's still a relatively young guy, 27 years old. Keeps himself in great shape.
Speaking of remarkable, and Altuve just turning 27 on that road trip out to the West Coast, we have a remarkable interview that we will hear parts of during this series with Julian Morales sitting down with Jose Altuve and Miguel Cabrera. 1 and 3 on that list of most hits since 2012.
fellow countrymen from Venezuela, and very close friends. They keep up with each other, not just when they're playing each other. They keep up with each other all the way through the season and through the year.
You may already do this at home. If you don't DVR the pregame shows, you may want to make sure to DVR Thursday's pregame show. That's when you will see the entire interview with Julia and the two outstanding players from the country of Venezuela. If Altuve gets on base, you will see Miguel Cabrera always has a good time in general, but especially when his buddies around him on the bag at first base, or vice versa if Cabrera gets to second.
Yeah, yesterday at one point the pitch was about coming to the plate, and Miguel was actually had his back to the plate because he was talking to Jose. I'm sure manager Brad Osmus, that's not the optimal way he wants him to play the game, but he's Miguel Cabrera. You really going to say something to one of the best right-handed hitters we've ever seen?
Not only one of the best hitters, he plays the game with so much fun. It's hard not to enjoy being around Miguel Cabrera.
There's a passion for the sport.
Yep.
Which Jose has the same thing. You know, I think that's one of the, other than both being from the same country, it's one of those aspects of their lives that they can really connect with, is that this game has been so good to both of them. They're both so good at it, but they just love to play the game of baseball.
Had a last pitch by Jordan Zimmerman, an example of what you were talking about the other day of spoiling a good pitcher's pitch. That was an 88 slider down and away, nasty, and Jose just flicked it away for a
actually
foul.
Hit his spot. There he went down a little bit further with the breaking ball, and it was good timing by Josh Reddick on the steal. Part of stealing bases isn't just how fast you are and the jump you get, it's picking the pitch. And on a 1-2 count, Josh picks the breaking ball in the dirt. McCann has no play because he has to go down and block the ball. They checked with the umpire on the swing, the first base umpire, which is James Hoy. And Jose did check the swing, but that was good situational awareness by Josh Reddick on not just the jump he got, but actually picking the right time to go.
Second steal of the year for Reddick as Altuve bounces one foul. So Altuve spoiled one really good slider, checked his swing on a close call on the next slider that was down and away. Now he fouls another pitch off. Continues to work this count.
Timing's still not quite right for Jose. You see the reach out front. His right foot, his back foot is kind of stepping out. And all that means is he is early. He's getting his front foot down a little bit too early, and it's making him offer at the pitch early. But he's got such great bat control that he can foul off those pitches even though he is off balance.
Altuve flied to center field his first time up, coming in with a .305 batting average. Trying to extend the hitting streak, which is now up to 8 games. Reddick in scoring position with 1 out. That did not miss by much. Zimmerman thought he was all over the plate with that curveball.
You can see the frustration on Zimmerman's face and his body actions right there. This is a slider curveball down. The Anderson strike zone does have that down below the zone, but that's a pretty good piece of hitting for Jose by laying off that pitch and not putting that ball in play, because if he does, that's just more weak contact.
On the ground, underneath the glove of Castellanos in the left field. Reddick will score. Altuve to second. Astros lead 2-0.
We'll have to see what the decision is on this play. But this is a play that has to be made. If you go down and you ask Nicholas Castellanos, he should have made this play. The ball is well hit, there's no doubt. Zimmerman throws a fastball to Jose. We know Jose is usually on fastballs, but that ball gets right underneath the glove. Didn't really look like Nick went at that all that well, and the decision was an E5. No RBI for Jose Altuve.
Here's Carlos Beltran. There's a fastball away, 1-0. You talk about a guy who feels like he's snake bitten this year. Jordan Zimmerman thought he had Altuve struck out 2 or 3 different times in that at bat. One was a great piece of hitting, one was a check swing, and one was a pitch that was just low. Then he gets a ground ball, and his third baseman can't make the play. Next thing you know, you're down 2-0.
As a pitcher, you really never throw a pitch that you don't think is a strike. You know, you want them all. But he's made some quality pitches in that at bat. The fastball actually wasn't one of them. Jose got a pitch that he could have done a little bit more with. He did hit it hard, and ultimately that's what you're trying to do as a hitter, is hit the ball hard as step one. Castellanos should have made that play.
Altuve was taking off. Zimmerman never flinched as he was on the rubber, and Altuve ends up diving back to second.
Jose thought he had him timed. Zimmerman actually changing up his looks and his timing going to the plate had Altuve dead to rights, but he was actually looking at the plate when Jose was doing that.
2-0 the count. Beltran 1 home run shy of joining the top 50 in the history of the game. One more home run and he will be tied for 50th with Billy Williams.
You get that high on the list, you start passing some pretty big names in baseball history.
Will pitch foul back. It's 2-1.
Again, we can see what the scouting report on Carlos Beltran hitting left-handed is, and that's to pound him inside. That pitch wasn't even all the way in there, but it still jammed him pretty good. Carlos wasn't able to get the head out.
Astros scored their first run on a solo home run by Yuli Guriel in the bottom half of the second inning. Now a run scoring on an error. James McCann going out to talk to Jordan Zimmerman with this 2-1 count to Carlos Beltran.
Todd, we just saw a graphic underneath the score about exit velocity from Carlos Beltran, his max exit velocity, his minimum exit velocity. Anything in the high 90s to 100 and above, you're hitting the ball pretty well, and that's what hard contact is considered.
Pop up, foul territory. Castellanos makes the play. Beltran retired for out number 2. Tonight's Steel power player is Marwin Gonzalez against right-hand pitchers. He has done a nice job hitting left-handed this season. I should say so, over 1,000 OPS.
And 7 home runs, hitting over 300. And these aren't just regular home runs. He's hitting big home runs in big situations. When you get that OPS really over 900, you're hitting the ball hard quite a bit. You're driving the ball. To go over 1,000, those are just crazy numbers for a guy that just a couple years ago was actually a better power hitter from the left side than the right side.
Fastball away for a ball, 1-0. Zimmerman has struggled with a first pitch strike this year. Well, that combination there.
Jeff Bagwell
and
behind Nolan and Ruth Ryan.
So we saw that one baseball card with Nolan Ryan and J.R. Richard here. We could have recreated that tonight.
Could have, because JR was here with his son for the ceremony for Bob Watson.
It was a who's who of Astros history down there on the field tonight.
It was, and there were a couple even guys around baseball. We saw a clip from Joe Girardi, and
Willie Randolph,
was here.
Larry Dierker, Craig Biggio, Jimmy Wynn, Enos Cabell, Jose Cruz, Joe Torre. There's Bidge and Scrap Iron Phil Garner, Larry Dierker. Larry in a Hawaiian shirt. That's a shock.
Larry likes to be comfortable.
Bidge.
There's JR right on the left.
JR. Enos Cabell. J.O. Jose Cruz. All here.
A lot of baseball history, Astros baseball history out there.
All here to celebrate Bob Watson's achievement, getting the BAT Lifetime Achievement Award. Bob Watson, so instrumental in so many different ways in the game. Player, coach, GM.
I was actually employed by Bob Watson. He was the GM that brought me to the New York Yankees in 1997. Unfortunately for Bob, it was shortly into that season that he was let go and Brian Cashman took over. Maybe it was because he signed a tired old left-handed pitcher.
Tired old left-handed pitcher that pitched in the World Series the next 4 years, right?
98. 97, 98.
99, 2000, 2001.
Right.
So I would say tip of the cap to Bob Watson, the GM, for bringing you aboard. 14 years with the Astros, 66 to 79, a .297 batting average, and consider that half of his games were playing in the Astrodome.
And that was when the Astrodome was big. That was a large ballpark that the ball did not travel, and they actually moved the fences in a couple different times.
Now the current number 27, Jose Altuve, advances on the wild pitch.
That was the curveball that Jordan has been trying to find kind of all evening. He went to backdoor it. We'll take a look at it right here. It backdoors, but actually hits in front of the plate. He wanted to make sure he got that down below the zone, and he did. Really didn't give his partner behind the dish, James McCann, any shot of blocking. When ball bounces that much in front, the catcher, it's really a hope and a prayer for him to actually block it and keep the ball in front of him.
Now the count's full with Altuve 90 feet away. They want this pitch up in the zone. They get it up in the zone, and Marwin fouls it away.
In his first at bat, that is where they went to get the strikeout on Marwin. He went slider down and in the dirt. Marwin didn't offer at it, but he changed his eye level, then went up about shoulder high, and Marwin couldn't get on top of it.
Extended at bats for Josh Reddick, Jose Altuve, and now Marwin Gonzalez. Carlos Beltran had at least a 5-pitch at bat as well. High fly ball, center field. Marwin got under it. Mikey Matuk, playing just his second game in center for the Tigers, puts it away. But the Astros score an unearned run on an error and lead it 2-0.
Lance McCullers getting back to work with his catcher. Centeno is getting his first start for the Astros. He's been looking forward to it too, guys. Lots of studying for a guy who's never caught Lance McCullers before. So he was lots of conversations with Brent Strom and Lance himself. He said, I'm well aware of the guy he was just 3 starts ago and then where he is now with the fastball changeup that he's using. But like I said, lots of hard work for him as he's had to figure out signs and then, of course, get in the same game plan mode as Lance coming in today, but had his family come in as well. So really excited to get this start.
Yeah, it's good to have him here. I know he and Max Stassi were kind of splitting some time down there at the AAA level with the Fresno Grizzlies, but Centeno gets the call and he gets his first start behind the dish for the Houston Astros in a regular season game and catches Lance McCullers. And I've got to think of all the guys to catch for the first time with Lance's stuff. He might not be very easy. This is the very first time you see him with that devastating power curve.
Well, he knows where the ball's going. So that's a big help that he's got great stuff, but the ball's all over the place. You know, Lance has pretty good command as of late. So, and you know, Juan's caught him enough. He does know the break on the breaking ball. He's okay with that. And in the 60 pitches that Lance has thrown, he's actually thrown 13 changeups and 21 curves, 26 fastballs. So he's actually used the fastball a little bit more tonight than we've seen him in previous starts. He's over 50%.
He has been going a little bit more fastball in his recent success. The curve had still a higher percentage than the fastball in the season. By the way, you saw Centeno there with the fluorescent orange fingernails. I like that. Fitting right in with the Astros as he gets a swing and a miss, maybe a foul tip, but it was caught by Centeno for the strikeout. Time now for a look at the Ford spray chart. Miguel Cabrera and his career with the Tigers.
That would scare any pitcher. Now, fortunately for the Astros pitcher, that's not current. That's in his whole career. You're talking about a guy that coming into this series hitting 265. So 261 going into today's game. So a little different hitter, but we talked about it earlier. This is one of the best right-handed hitters that we've ever put our eyes on. Arguably one of the best right-handed hitters in baseball history. So if you look at the long list of great hitters in Major League Baseball, most of them are left-handed. Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, both sides. So it's a little different for a righty because it's still a right-handed dominated league as far as pitching is concerned.
1-1 the count to Cabrera. On the ground, down the line, foul. Bregman gave it a look, but it's just foul. They've got to put Miggy right at the top. Edgar Martinez, who's now retired, one of the all-time great right-handed hitters. Albert Pujols, who's done a lot of damage in his career against the Astros.
Well, Albert's done a lot of damage against everyone. He's put up some rather large numbers, pretty close to 600 home runs.
Centeno wanted that pitch down. He got it down, but no chase from Miggy. 2-2 the count to Cabrera. So you got the orange on the batting gloves that kind of form a line, and then you've got the orange fingernails of Juan Centeno. We got a lot of orange back and forth between the Astros and Tigers in this series, and the orange glove of McCullers. That was a good pitch that he stayed alive.
Well, that's why you're talking about a guy that has a batting average over 300 for his career, is because his ability to foul off the pitcher's pitches. The reason Juan Centeno has the orange on his fingernails is to help Lance McCullers see the signs. You know, each catcher sets up just a little bit different. It looks like Juan kind of likes to tilt over his knees just a little bit, makes like a little shadow dark spot down there. So Juan's not trying to be stylish. It's there for a reason.
Still is stylish, though. To the backhand for Marwin from the hole. Long throw. Not in time. The ball gets away. Like Guriel was kind of searching for the bag at the same time he was trying to make the catch. It's going to be an infield hit by Miguel Cabrera.
I think Marwin thought he had less time than he really did. He had a chance to set his feet a little bit more. You see him kind of throw across his body. Watch his footwork right here. He doesn't kind of step. He short steps the ball and tries the long hop.
I think if Guriel's on the bag, he's out. Yuli is searching for the bag with his foot.
That would have been very close. I would have liked to see Marwin just set his feet, go ahead, take a stride like a pitcher, and let's see that good arm across the infield.
Well, that's unfortunate because it's the first hit the Tigers have in this game. And it's 0-1. I think Yuli anticipated the throw pulling him off the bag and left the bag.
Well, that might be a little bit of that inexperience of Yuli Guriel at first base, being a long-time third baseman. Now he's gotten better at first base.
Let's take another look. Marwin's throw comes in. If he's on the bag here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He should have already been on the bag.
He's
actually,
out.
He's out already.
If he's on the bag.
Oh, no, he dropped the ball.
Right, but if he's on the bag, Cabrera's out. Because he doesn't have to make that little swipe tag and searching for the bag and all that stuff. Unfortunate. First hit. Hopefully.
Well, like I said, Yuli is still learning the first base position. And of all the positions, we'll just, a guy gets older, send him to first base. It's not that easy.
No, not at all.
There's a lot of little nuances at first base that he has to learn. And he's picking them up. But, part of it is also just baseball instincts. And, Astros fans have been spoiled for so long with Jeff Bagwell, who was a tremendous defensive first baseman.
Strikeout of Victor Martinez. Third strikeout for Lance. Second of this inning.
Lance ahead in the count. Wants the breaking ball down. You see Centeno's glove down low. Get that ball down below the zone. Victor Martinez just swinging right through. Another breaking ball for a strike from Lance. That is his third strikeout on the night.
Breaking ball misses for a ball 1-0. Tough scoring decision there, and it's only the fourth inning. But if that was the first hit for the Tigers in the 7th or the 8th, then fans might have had an issue. Because even though it was a tough play.
Actually, AJ might have had an issue also, and maybe it would have taken a look at it. Yeah, well, he dropped the ball, so it would have been a moot point.
But that's what I'm saying. You could in theory give an error to the first baseman for not being on the bag and then dropping a throw.
That's a good point. Yep.
It did bounce, so it was not a routine play. But if it's a 7th or 8th,
it bounced on purpose.
Right.
That's a long hop, and infielders do that when they're off balance. And the reason you do it is because turf is so fast, it doesn't really slow down the ball, especially when they're worried about when you're off balance just a little bit, the throw sailing over the head goes into the stands, you get second base.
Now a 3-0 count on J.D. Martinez, who walked his first time up. Now Lance delivers a strike, 3-1. Lance has had to work hard getting through this Tigers lineup. He's up to 78 pitches in the 4th inning. We saw his pitch count the last 3 starts right around 14.5 per inning. Today is closer to 20 per inning. And now the count's full.
Has had pretty good command tonight, Lance McCullers Jr., but there's been a lot of foul balls. He's been ahead of hitters, just hasn't been able to put them away at an efficient rate.
Cabrera will get a head start with 2 outs and a 3-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Lance strikes out 3 in the 4th. And the Astros lead through 3.5 by the score of 2-0. Astros scoring an unearned run last inning, and they scored their first run when Guriel hit a home run, and he leads things off for Houston here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. Guriel, Alex Bregman, Juan Centeno, first three due up against Jordan Zimmerman. Mentioned Lance McCullers with a pitch count that's rising a little bit, and Jordan hits Guriel with a fastball right on the thigh.
Really not real happy about that. Looked like he was trying to go inside, and pitch got away from him.
Did you see anything on the home run that would cause this to happen?
I don't. You see, James McCann is set up on the inside part of the plate. Hits him in the hip. I mean, no hitter really likes to get hit, but if he's going to get hit, stay away from the head down there where there's some meat on your bones.
So Zimmerman, who is the active leader in fewest walks per 9 innings, with a minimum of 1,000 innings pitched, hits the first batter. Now Bregman hits a double play ground ball to short, and they turn it. Iglesias, Kinsler, Cabrera, and just like that, the Astros have 2 outs and nobody on.
Alex offering it a first pitch slider. Jordan Zimmerman gets him out in front just a little bit in a routine 6-4-3 double play.
Here's Centeno, who grounded out in his first Astros at bat. Takes a pitch away for a ball, 1-0. Zimmerman has seen that slider percentage go down year to year. Last year 31%, this year 21%. And in this game he's thrown 11 sliders of his first 69 pitches. In the air, pretty well hit to center field, sending Matuk all the way back. Looking up, this ball's gone! Juan Centeno in his first game with the Houston Astros hits an opposite field home run, and it's 3-0 Astros.
That's some pretty serious pop going left center field for a left-handed hitter.
Centeno hit 3 home runs last year with the Minnesota Twins. There's only 3 of his career at the big league level until this.
Fastball right down the middle, 93 miles an hour. Nice short compact swing. Didn't try and do too much. And this ball just leaped off of Centeno's bat. Well over 400 feet to left center field. Nice job.
That's one way to welcome yourself to the team. Here's Jake Marisnick. Jake, a little tapper out in front of the mound. Who wants it? The pitcher and the catcher converge. Nobody makes the play. Zimmerman and McCann. And a base hit for Jake Marisnick on an, half swing.
2 things here, Todd. First one, pitchers fielding practice. You do it in spring training every single solitary day. And the second one, just bad communication between Zimmerman and McCann, the catcher. And just kind of looking at each other. Anytime you reach for a ball out in front of you, one of the things that you're taught as a pitcher when you're fielding a ball is get your nose over the ball. That's going to be the best way to make sure you don't do exactly what Jordan did right there by reaching out in front of him. A lot of times you just come up with a handful of nothing.
Last time a member of the Astros hit a home run in his first game, August 12th of last year, Teoscar Hernandez hit a home run in his debut. It was not the major league debut of Centeno, but he does not have many home runs in his career. In fact, that was his first of the season, either AAA or the big leagues. He has a total of 7 career home runs, 4 in the minor leagues, 3 in the major leagues, and now a 4th one at the big league level. That did not look like a guy who's hit 8 professional home runs.
That ball jumped off of his bat pretty well. We don't see very many left-handed hitters go up next to that Phillips 66 gas pump that has the home run count there in left center field. Left-handers usually either go Crawford boxes or to right field.
He said he faced Jordan Zimmerman in 2014 when he was a member of the Mets and Zimmerman was with the Nationals. And as we said earlier, that was a little bit different Jordan Zimmerman back then. But he had seen him before, at least, even though it's been 3 years. That's where the ball landed, up there by the home run pump, which now says 16-14 thanks to Juan Centeno. That is well struck opposite field. Here's George Springer with a 1-0 count. He hits one to center field, kind of off the end of the bat, holding up for Mikey Matuk, who makes the play for the final out.
Here's that swing by Juan Centeno. Gets that fastball down the middle, just puts a short, compact swing, creates some backspin for his first home run of the season.
Presented by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And by the original light beer, Miller Lite. Hold true. Fifth inning baseball. Astros lead 3-0. Glad you could join us on this Tuesday night. Todd Callis alongside Mike Stanton, Julian Morales down in the dugout, and also around the stadium. Jeff Blum with the scheduled series off against the Tigers. He'll be back for the Orioles series over the weekend as Justin Upton misses the first pitch, 0-1. Upton struck out his first time up. Lance had one strikeout through 3 innings and then struck out 3 in the last inning. That ball gets past Centeno and hits the umpire Carlos Torres in a quick apology from the Houston catcher.
It's not really a way to make friends behind the dish.
And now the courtesy visit at the mound. Centeno really has nothing to say to Lance McCullers Jr. right now, other than we need to
He's letting the umpire get the feeling back in his foot.
We need to give Carlos a little time, so he'll call some strikes for us. 1-1 the count.
Justin Upton is a frustrating player for any team he plays for. He is so streaky. There are times that it seems like a pitcher just simply can't get him out. He's hitting the ball out of the ballpark, using the whole field. And the very next day, he might look like he hasn't swung the bat in about 3 months.
Inside on Upton, it's 2-2.
But he does usually put up pretty good numbers. You know, mid-20s home runs, hits 260 to 280. But it can be a frustrating ride to get to those numbers.
There he goes. Lance McCullers Jr. with 4 consecutive outs via the strikeout. 5 in the game. Lance McCullers made his second career start in Detroit's Comerica Park 2 years ago today.
Ends up getting his first career win on that day. And you can see the nice tight spin on that breaking ball. Same breaking ball he's throwing now. Miguel Cabrera saying, who is this guy?
Pitching in the shadows in Detroit in that game. Mikey Montook taking a called strike, 0-1.
I'm sure the lights were on because it's all about the hitters.
3-2 win for the Astros that day.
I never understood that.
Lights on during the day?
They turn the lights on when the shadows come in. The lights do absolutely nothing.
That game included a triple play off the bat of tonight's leadoff hitter, Ian Kinsler. Here we go.
Take a look at it. Yeah. Jonathan Villar to Jose Altuve to Chris Carter.
Yeah.
Only way to do that is hit you have to hit the ball right on top of the third base bag. And Ian Kinsler, not slow, but he was definitely out at first for a triple play.
Yeah, with a runner like Kinsler, you need to hit it right on the bag and turn it in a hurry.
There's a lot of adages in baseball. You know, change up is your best friend, double play. I think the triple play is a pitcher's best friend.
Is your best friend. There's out number 2 on the ground ball to Alex Bregman. Yeah, don't see him often.
Any pitcher that would say, no, I don't want a triple play, no thank you.
Don't see him often. Did you ever have one?
No.
Do you ever see one?
Saw a couple.
Yeah.
Saw a couple, but no, I never.
They don't happen often.
I was never quite that lucky.
James McCann. Well, you could have said I didn't have many men on base either. That's the other way around it.
Well, you can look at the numbers. That ain't right either.
Oh, come on, come on. Here's James McCann. Lance so far has walked 1, hit 1. And the only hit he's allowed is that little infield hit deep in the hole on the ground ball to Marwin Gonzalez.
By Miguel Cabrera, of all people.
Who, as we're going to kind of preview that Julie Morales interview with Miggy and Jose Altuve. That's one thing he admires about Altuve, is his ability to get infield hits. He had one of it for himself tonight. It's 2-0. Altuve can have infield hits in a lot of different ways. Miguel needs some certain things to happen.
He needs some help by the defense.
Here's the 2-0 pitch. That's away, and Lance down to the count 3-0. He was hoping to have a quick low pitch inning because he was at 80 when this inning started.
Not sure how far AJ is going to let him go. He's at 93 right now with 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. AJ's pretty protective of Lance. He doesn't really let him go too much over 100 pitches.
4-pitch walk to James McCann with 2 outs. Second walk issued by McCullers.
Treat your employees, host clients, and even celebrate a special occasion with an Astros luxury suite at the ballpark. Reserve a suite and create a premium experience your group is sure to remember by visiting astros.com/suites or calling 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Iglesias takes that power curve for a strike, 0-1. We've had a lot of responses before on a Twitter Tuesday. I'm not sure if we've had more than tonight's send us your favorite baseball card theme. We are getting tons of baseball cards being sent in. 0-1 pitch, broken bat, looper. Altuve goes out for it, makes the catch for the final out, flips it over to Springer, and we are through 4.5. Halfway home with the Astros leading 3-0. Cubs. We've asked you tonight on our Twitter Tuesday to send in your favorite baseball cards.
Goodness gracious.
What kind of face is that?
I actually think that's on a day he was actually starting.
The young A.J. Hinch. It's like a baby. Carlos Correa. Not starting tonight. Carlos getting the night off, a little bit ill, so Marwin Gonzalez in his spot at shortstop. Josh Reddick will lead things off. Gonzalez is due up fourth. Altuve and Beltran follow Reddick. Pitch is down low for a ball, 1-1. Josh has reached base a couple of times. A single, a walk. He stole a base and scored a run on an error by the third baseman Nicholas Castellanos. The shift is on against Josh Reddick. In the air, center field. Montauk waiting. One away.
Not sure if this is a precursor to the next half inning, but Michael Feliz is up in the Astros bullpen with Lance McCullers at 96 pitches on the night.
Lance, during that run on the last three starts, all road starts, 88, 90, and 95 pitches. His high pitch count on the year is 105. Here's Jose Altuve.
It doesn't look like Feliz is out there just getting some work in. He's cranking it pretty good.
If Lance leaves the game, that would be 4 straight starts without allowing an earned run.
Inning count of 22. Just shows how well he has been throwing the ball. We know he's good here at home, but the first 3 of those 4 starts actually on the road.
It has been fun to watch. McCullers Jr. again, not a huge strikeout night, but he did get 4 consecutive outs with a strikeout. All 3 outs in the 4th, and then the first out of the 5th. Altuve tries to bunt and bunts it foul.
Jose is upset with himself for not getting that ball down. Castellanos is playing back. Jose saw a base hit all over that bunt situation, just simply wasn't able to execute.
Altuve hit a ground ball under the glove of Castellanos. Scored a run his last time up. Astros with a single run in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And the pitch is away. It's 2-2.
A lot like Michael Fulmer last night, Zimmerman got off to a rocky start as far as his pitch count is concerned, but he's still only at 81 pitches. That's his 82nd. It's up.
My goodness. Two and 2 the count.
Looks like everyone's okay with that foul ball.
That whistled right past Carlos Beltran.
We got the nets up, but that found one of the few open spots there at the end of the Astros dugout. I think it hit the wall of the dugout.
High fly ball off the bat of Altuve into center field. And 2 fly outs to center in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Nolan Ryan Little League All-Star. The Alvin All-Stars. Wow.
That's awesome. You know, Nolan said when he was young like that, he didn't really throw harder than other pitchers. He could throw the ball further, but the velocity wasn't there.
Comebacker. Yeah, let's go into that later as Jordan Zimmerman underhands it for the final out. 1-2-3 inning.
Astros, and I found an Astros legend, Jimmy Wynn. Jimmy joining me now in town for the ceremony for Bob Watson. How was that today? I know that you guys go way back to your playing days.
Oh, yeah, it was great. Like I said before, it was something that Bob Watson wanted to do. We did it for him. New York did it for him, so it was a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it was good to see a bunch of you guys coming together. A lot of people came in for that. It's good to see everyone.
Oh, yeah. We had Eric Young, Larry Durkin sitting down in front of me. We had J.R. Richards, so we had everybody.
You had everybody, including you. Now, we're going to take it back, Jimmy, because on this day in 1965, something happened at the Astrodome that really changed things for the Astrodome. You were playing against the Giants. Do you remember this game? The Giants happened to hit an inside the park 3-run homer because of something that happened to you. Tell me what happened that day.
Was that 1965?
No, 1965. Astrodome just opened.
It made us a star, really. You know, playing outfield, and when you have a hitter such as Jay Hart, when you swing one hand, you think that the ball is going to drop in between the infield and outfield. But the ball, he was so strong, the ball took one hop to center field for inside the park home run. Believe it or not, I believe that was the only hit of the ball game. And we lost the game, and it was the ABC game of the week. It was on TV, so we lost the game.
Everyone saw that game. What do you remember about the Astrodome when it first opened? I remember the lights being really bright. What happened with the Astrodome that first few weeks?
Well, when the Dome opened in 1965, it was a beautiful place. For the first time in the history of baseball, we had an indoor ballpark. What I remember was that we could not see the baseball coming off the bat because the ball was the same color as the interior of the ballpark. So when we left to go on a 2-week vacation, or what I call a vacation.
You mean a road trip?
A road trip. And they painted behind home plate. So when we came back, we saw the ball well. Before that, we had all kind of people painting the ball. We had black, yellow, green, orange, and we still couldn't see the baseball. So they painted it behind home plate.
Okay, another question I want to ask you, that I love hearing this story that Hank Aaron told you that you should have won the home run title in 1967. You should have been the home run champ. What do you think about that when you hear this?
Well, it makes me feel good when it comes from a guy who I consider the greatest home run hitter in the game of baseball. He called me the day of the final game of the season, and he told me that I will not play. I want to be co-leader of home runs with you. And I told him, I said, hey, thank you very much, but you got to play. The commissioner found out about it and made him play. And he hit 2 home runs the first couple of times at bat, so he won the championship by hitting 39. I had 37 that year. And he still say from this day on that Jimmy Wynn should become the home run hitter.
Well, you were playing in the Astrodome. You know how hard it is to hit home runs there.
It was very hard because they saw me hit it during batting practice, and they always came up to me and said, how in the world is your back cart? Tell me how you did it. I just told them, little wrist, little strong, that's it.
You were very strong. You know, nowadays they have all these stats where they can put the ballpark into the stats to see where guys really should rank as far as how you played the game. So your numbers are actually better when they add in the ballpark to it. It looks like, it looks like you would have been a much better player as far as the numbers go. What do you think of that?
Well, that's what I heard. But I mean, I still like playing when I played because we had some of the greatest players in the history of the game. Koufax, Drysdale, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Bob Friend, all these guys. So I enjoyed my time playing the game of baseball.
You like being compared to the ones you played against, not everyone.
Definitely, yes.
Thank you so much for the time. Enjoy the rest of the game. Sorry to bug you up here. I know you're enjoying it up here in the suite.
I am very sorry that my wife sent you all the way to 105, but she did. But I'm glad you came up, and it's always a pleasure seeing you. One thing that I want you to do, don't eat no grasshoppers no more.
Thank you. Thank you. Jimmy's telling me I don't have to eat grasshoppers, so I don't have to eat grasshoppers. Thank you, Jimmy. We have put that to rest. All right, Tom, I'm going to send it up to you for a second.
He does know that turned the season around, right? That's always good to hear Jimmy Wynn. Always great to hear from the toy cannon. Great to see him at the ballpark. 1-2 pitch, check swing by Miguel Cabrera. Miguel,
so
as
that means
always.
The grasshopper rally is out.
No, I believe in it. I believe in it.
Toy Cannon said he doesn't have. She doesn't have.
You know what? Not anymore. It already happened. She already turned the whole season around. 4-4 record, down 5 in Seattle.
So you're not looking for another grasshopper rally.
I think we're good.
Okay.
I think we're good. We had the one, and everything's been better since. I mean, the team's 30-15 now. They could have easily been 4-5 after that.
Very close pitch right here by Michael Feliz. 95-mile-an-hour fastball just off the inside corner. Miguel Cabrera wanted no part of that pitch.
Feliz has gotten a fly out off the bat of Eden Kinsler, a strikeout, and now another strikeout as he gets Miguel Cabrera to end the top half of the 6th inning. We are through 5 1/2. Astros 3, Tigers nothing.
Night home game at Minute Maid Park is Dollar Dog Wednesday. Get in on the Dollar Dog action tomorrow night by visiting astros.com/$dogs or calling 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Always popular Dollar Dog Wednesdays. Charlie Morton against the left-hander Daniel Norris will be the pitching matchup tomorrow, game 3 of this 4-game series. In this one, we approach the bottom half of the 6th inning with Marwin Gonzalez leading off. Broken bat, the barrel ends up halfway between home and first. Gonzalez gets rid of the handle part of the bat as he is retired on a ground out.
Watching these games, doing pre and post, I may or may not have partaken in Dollar Dog Wednesday.
That gives you some flexibility during the game.
Can't come to the ballpark and not have a hot dog.
You had
I
one
guess
tonight.
You can, but I did have one tonight.
Always a perfect meal at the ballpark. People that don't eat hot dogs at any other time in their week or month or year will have a hot dog when they come out to the ballpark occasionally. It is kind of goes hand in hand with watching a game.
Well, it's really old school baseball. You go to the ballpark now and you can almost get anything you want.
Right.
But occasionally you have to go back to the traditional baseball cuisine.
Guriel sends one into left field. Coming on is Justin Upton, who makes the play for out number 2. Nice sliding catch by the Tiger left fielder. Guriel has now homered, been hit by a pitch on the first pitch after the home run. And then
got a good jump off the bat. This was a sinking line drive. It was off the end of the bat, slicing away from Justin Upton. And you can see the concentration in his eyes. It was a clean catch. I'm sure Jordan Zimmermann appreciates the effort out there by Mr. Upton.
Zimmermann had thrown 66 pitches through the first 3 innings. And then he had an 8-pitch 4th inning, a 10-pitch 5th inning, and he's only thrown 4 pitches so far in this inning, even after the first one to Bregman, and he's got 2 outs. On the ground towards third. This is going to be a 5-pitch inning if Castellanos makes the throw across, which he does. 5-pitch inning and a 1-2-3-6.
McCullers Jr.'s night tonight. He did a good job of getting some soft contact. Pitch count got a little high there towards the end, was able to only go 5 innings, but only gave up 1 hit, 2 walks with 5 strikeouts. There were just a few too many foul balls. Spent a lot of time in the zone, but 96 pitches on the night. Just couldn't get that good quick inning that we've seen Jordan Zimmermann have a few of to keep that pitch count down.
Unbelievable what he's done in 4 starts. 24 innings, 10 hits allowed. Only hit allowed tonight was that ground ball deep in the hole. Marwin makes the throw on 1 hop. If Yuli was on the bag, he may not have allowed any hits tonight.
It would have been very close, but unfortunately that was not the case, and it was ruled a hit. And like you said, they've only had, this Tigers team has only had 2 hits in the last 15 innings against the Astros these last 2 games.
Been a remarkable series of pitching so far for the Astros. Mikey Matuk had a 3rd inning single last night, and then that infield hit by Miguel Cabrera tonight in the 4th. Here's Victor Martinez, Michael Feliz in his 2nd inning of work, and Feliz down to the count 3-0. Lance goes 5 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, including 4 consecutive outs. All 3 outs in the fourth, and the first out of the 5th. Lance walked 2 and he hit a batter. 3-0 pitch is poured over, 3-1.
AJ has a lot of options down there in the bullpen, and whenever he brings Feliz in a game, this is what his chain of thought is. He wants velocity. He wants to see that high-end fastball, that mid to upper 90s fastball, because he doesn't feel like the Tigers hitters might not be able to catch up to him.
When you talk about young pitchers and what they've done in their first 25 career home starts, a couple of kids that worked out together in Tampa are the only two that qualify on this list since 1913.
The only two, period.
Period. Since 1913, 150 or more innings, an ERA below 2.2, averaging 10 strikeouts or more per 9 innings, and without any games, not one of those 25 starts for either Jose Fernandez in Marlins Park or Lance McCullers Jr. in Minute Maid Park, allowing more than 3 runs.
That is truly amazing. Two guys that were very close friends, worked out together, grew up together, playing against each other in Florida. And they were the only two on that list.
Lance McCullers attending Jesuit High School, Jose Fernandez, Alonzo High School, worked out of the off season. And now since 1913, they have put up numbers at home that have never been done by anybody else through 25 starts. J.D. Martinez, the batter, with a 1-1 count. That's a strike, 1-2. Fastball in at 94. Stays 1-2 on JD. American League Player of the Week. The former Astro hit .389 last week, 7 for 18. 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, 7 runs, doing that all in 6 games of action as he missed the first month plus with a foot injury. Burst onto the scene coming off the DL. And he hits the ball hard to center field, but not hard enough as Jake Marisnick is there. Makes the play for out number 1. Last night, the Astros got a brilliant 4 1/3 innings out of Brad Peacock. And then Chris Davinsky pitched 2 2/3 innings. Will Harris an inning. And Ken Giles a 1-2-3-9. Giles is on a nice little run. He's gone pretty strong now for the last couple of weeks, and he's pitched in back-to-back games.
You just gave the names, but the bullpen matched what Brad Peacock did with 4 2/3 to complete the 1-hit shutout. And then here tonight, Lance McCullers and Michael Feliz has only given up 1 hit with 1 out here in the 6th inning with still no run scored.
Saw Brad in the dugout. He can't be used for a few days anyhow, so he gets to hang out with the starters for a couple of days after being in the bullpen all year. He was sitting in between.
70 pitches last night on the dot. Obviously that was going to be his pitch limit. As soon as he hit his 70 pitch count, AJ went and got it.
Had 60 through 4.
Little sore today. See, look at him pulling on that arm.
On cue. Mike Fiers, Joe Musgrove, Colin McHugh, Brad Peacock all having a good time. That was.
If you keep throwing shutouts, everybody's having fun.
I don't know how he could have pitched much better. He was hitting his spots with everything.
His slider curveball combination was truly outstanding. I mean, he was moving the ball. It wasn't just him throwing strikes with it. He was moving the ball around. Young man's had good stuff all of his career, but it looks like he's figured something out here in his late 20s to find that consistency that every pitcher's looking for.
2-1 pitch was a good slider from Michael Feliz. It gets a swing and a miss. It's 2-2. Feliz with a walk and a flyout in this inning, and now facing Justin Upton, who struck out a couple of times against Lance McCullers.
He's got to be a little careful with this pitch. Justin Upton does not have a 2-strike approach.
Broken back. Shallow right. Springer on. Makes the catch. Hustling back to first is Victor Martinez. 2 outs.
Let's take a little look at what Brad Peacock did last night. Started off the game just commanding the zone, moving the ball around, being very efficient with his pitches because he knew going into this he wasn't going to be able to go deep. And A.J. Hinch could not have asked for anything more than what Brad Peacock offered. 4 1/3, just 1 hit of shutout baseball. Then that Astros bullpen comes in and dominates like they have all season.
The former Astro and current manager Brad Ausmus said that's as good a start as we've seen from anybody against us all year. And even though it wasn't a lengthy start because he was limited to pitch count, Ausmus was very impressed with what he saw.
The slider and the breaking ball were just outstanding. He pitched backwards, threw soft early, went hard late, surprised with the fastball. Threw very few pitches in the middle of the plate. Everything seemed to be on the corners.
Phillies ahead of Mikey Matuk, 0-2. Michael Phillies trying to get through 2 innings. Lance McCullers went 5 through 96 pitches. Allowed just an infield hit and a couple of walks and a hit batter while he was in there. And now Michael Phillies trying to carry this lead to the 7th inning stretch. Astros with a run in the 2nd, a run in the 3rd, and a run in the 4th. Although Jordan Zimmerman has really come back with limited pitch count the last 3 innings to stay in this game. On the ground foul. It's 0-2. On Centeno giving some encouraging signs to Michael Phillies.
Slider down and away.
Instead, he keeps it on the inner half, and Matuk sends it deep to left field for a home run. Mikey Matuk with his 2nd home run of the season. And now we have ourselves a 1-run game. It's 3-2.
Michael Phillies is trying to get that slider down and away. You see the location of the glove. He leaves it middle of the plate. Now Mikey was out in front just a little bit. But got the good part of the bat on it. Good extension through the swing. Drove this into the Crawford boxes for a 2-run home run. That's the first 2 runs that this Tigers team has scored in the last 2 games. It puts them right back in this game, 3-2.
Pitching change. Luke Gregerson is on. More on him in a minute. Julia?
Hey guys, you mentioned it earlier. I had a chance to catch up with Miguel Cabrera and Jose Altuve at the very same time. It's hard to get these guys together at the same place, same time. But I did. They're obviously from the same city in Venezuela, which is unbelievable considering they're 2 of the best hitters in the game. They're great friends. Spent a lot of time during the offseason, but during the season, Miggy is a mentor to Jose Altuve.
He called me and he told me, I don't remember what we do. He say, hey Miggy, I need a little help. I say, what's up, bro? He say, I'm a little struggling right now. You can help me? I say, I go with my computer and watch his number. He was hitting like 340 something.
Struggling.
I say like, wait a second, like you struggling, like what I mean you struggling? No, I come with hard time right now. He able to all the way. I said, where you play right now? He play in the Yankee Stadium. You see, you play in Yankee Stadium. Remember, I said, mommy, that's a perfect stage to hit the ball the other way. Let it go deep and swing hard, you know. You got a good swing and make sure you see the ball and make sure you get a good contact. That's it.
Yeah, and I even sent him videos on himself hitting the ball and asking, okay, what were you trying to do with this pitch? Hit it to the other way. And I think sometimes I think too much about what he does. And I ask him, and he's like, simple. Yeah, I was just thinking, let the ball come to me and hit it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and do that today. And a couple days ago, I asked him, like, hey, I have problem hitting this pitch. What should I do? Okay, just swing the bat as hard as you can. And then I went to the game, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this pitch. I'm gonna do what Miggy say, hard, and I hit a double. So I was like, wow, this is why he's so good, because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, you've told me before you've spent your off seasons looking at some of the video he's had. You've changed your swing a little bit, but I do want to ask you, what's one thing about the other that you wish you had in your game, or what's one thing that you admire about
the Triple Crown?
I mean, I want to have his glove and his speed.
His glove and his speed.
Oh yeah.
His speed, but
I wanna have infield single too.
He wants infield singles like Jose Altuve. They make it sound so easy when they talk about hitting, right? And they make it look easy as well. But hey, just a quick reminder. catch pregame on Thursday. It's a 7 o'clock game, so 6:30 pregame. We're going to have a longer version of that. Also, Astros bases loaded Friday, 6 p.m. Tune in for that.
Good stuff, Julia. His wish was his command tonight. He got an infield hit.
He did. Legged it out. Speed kills.
0-2 the count. Luke Gregerson on for the Astros with 2 outs and nobody on in the 7th. Houston's 3-0 lead is now a 3-2 lead as he delivers to James McCann. And he sends one into shallow center. Altuve can't quite get there. Base hit for McCann with 2 away.
That's 2 pretty good hitters right there. See the career averages. This is per season, 162 game season. Jose's done a pretty good job of increasing his power. Miggy has always had the power, but Jose went from a singles hitter to doing a better job of driving the ballpark. That was a slider by Luke Gregerson. Jerks it across the plate. Wasn't a whole lot Centeno could have done with that one. That ball bounced well into the left-handed batter's box for a wild pitch, sending the runner to second base.
This game went from pretty comfortable to pretty uncomfortable in a couple of batters. 2-run home run, single, wild pitch. Tying run is now on second.
Luke just hasn't found the consistency in that slider recently. Now he was in the WBC and he was outstanding. He threw the ball as well in that tournament as I may have seen him throw in quite a while. But here in the regular season, he has really struggled with the command of that breaking ball. And when he doesn't have the breaking ball, Luke is in trouble.
One and one the count. Gregerson facing the number 9 hitter Jose Iglesias. Little bunt attempt foul. 1-2. Luke last pitched on Saturday against the Indians. Went 1 inning, a couple of strikeouts, no hits, no walks.
Luke is a 2-pitch pitcher. He's a 2-seam fastball, slider pitcher. And the 2-seam fastball, it's got some nice run to it. It's got some depth to it. But what's made him a good reliever over all these years is that devastating slider. But he has to be able to put it where he wants to, keep it down in the zone. But he just hasn't found the release point in a while.
Little tapper. Centeno quickly on it. Throws in time. Good play by Centeno. He's having quite an Astros debut. A home run and a great defensive play to end the 7th.
Centeno jumping out from behind the plate. This was a good slider by Luke Gregerson. Look at him leap out from behind the plate. He knows that's his ball. He's the only one that can make this play. Then the strong throw to Yuli at first base, gets it by half a step.
Stroh poll. Thanks for voting. At Root Sports SW is where you can find us on Twitter, and that's where you can find our Stroh poll. We asked you today, what's your favorite thing to collect as a kid? 61% of you say baseball cards. But Hot Wheels coming in second. Hot Wheels Matchbox.
Well, Julia, I think inquiring minds want to know, what did you collect as a child?
I said Pogs earlier. Does anyone even know what those are? I'm so embarrassed.
Pog?
The Pogs. This is a silly game. I don't know. I'm embarrassed.
I could have gone the easy route, said Barbies or
not
something
dogs.
like that.
No, I didn't have really anything other than that. Yeah, that was going wild when I was young.
All right.
No, not much of anything. I was an outdoorsy kid. Probably playing in the dirt somewhere.
Jordan Zimmerman on for his 7th inning of work, and the reason he's still pitching is because the last 4 innings he went 8 pitches, 10 pitches, 5 pitches. After 66 through 3, he started the inning with 89, misses down and into Juan Centeno. It's 3-0.
Remembers that last at bat, that fastball down the middle. Juan drove into the left center field fan area.
There's a strike. Quite an Astros debut tonight for Juan Centeno. His 4th major league home run of his career. In his 2nd Astros at bat, he also just ended the top of the inning with a very nice defensive play. There's a ball hit towards right center fairly well, and a base hit. Centeno 2 for 3.
Got a 3-1 pitch out over the plate. Didn't try and do too much with this. See, outside corner, not a bad pitcher's pitch, but since he was up in the count 3-1, you see a little bit out in front, but nice level swing, driving that ball to right center field for a single.
Centeno signed as a free agent this offseason from the Twins organization. Now a little meeting at the mound. Baseball cards were pretty much, I figured they would win that poll. Did you collect them when you were a kid? Baseball cards?
You know, if I had to pick from that list, it would be baseball cards. But it wasn't necessarily for the card. It was for the bubble gum that used to come in it.
The brick?
The little piece of chalky bubble gum.
Here's some of the other baseball cards that fans have sent in on this Twitter Tuesday at Root Sports SW.
Julia, did you have any slammers with your Pogs?
Did you do some research real quick? Of course I did. I had some great slammers. Do you know what
describe to us
about?
what a slammer is.
Did you Google it? Did you see what they look like? They're like the little cardboard.
I did not.
board
I'll be honest. I did not do the research.
Okay. Well, Twitter has my back. I'll tell you that. They
There you
remember.
go.
Now they have fidget spinners or something. Back then we had Pogs.
Paige knows what you're talking about.
I don't even know where we got them.
Brad Ausmus had throws over to first for about 2 or 3 consecutive times so he could get somebody loose in the bullpen. They had a meeting at the mound, and then a couple throws over to first, and Alex Wilson got in his extra tosses because Ausmus probably wants to go to the bullpen.
The way this game went through the first 4 innings, Brad's got to be a little shocked that he is taking Jordan Zimmerman out of the game at this point and not about 2 innings ago.
Zimmerman out. We'll tell you about the new Tigers pitcher when we come back.
All-Star Game ballot is here. Head to astros.com/vote to choose your ASG-worthy stars and send them to the All-Star Game presented by MasterCard on July 11th in Miami. Guys, I brought fanny packs back a couple years ago, but I think I'm bringing back pogs now. With my comment, these are pogs. The slammers are the bigger ones. There's something sometimes they were rubber or plastic.
And they're just like little coins.
Yeah, they were milk. I think they were like milk caps back in the day, and then they became this. And then I just collected them. If there was a game, I don't think I ever played it. No. That's all I got.
We love to watch you squirm.
I know I'm not alone. I think it's a 90s thing.
Jake Marisnick with a base hit into center field. The new pitcher is Alex Wilson, who has come on, the 30-year-old right-hander, taking over for the starter Jordan Zimmerman. And the first pitch he delivers is sent right back up the middle for a base hit.
Looked like a little cut fastball out over the plate. Jake did a good job of covering the pitch and not trying to pull it. If he tries to pull it, it's a ground ball to shortstop, and it's a double play. Alex Wilson's one of Brad Osmus' go-to pitchers. His last 5 games, he's actually not given up an earned run in 5 1/3. He's only given up 11 hits in 19 appearances this season. He's gotten off to a very good start here in 2017.
They have a bullpen that has been roughed up as a group, but they have individuals within that group that are having nice years. We saw last night Shane Green, who's been very good lately, Alex Wilson.
Alex Wilson's definitely one of those guys. Like you said, he is 30 years old, so he's not an overly young guy, but he has been one of Brad's go-to guys late in the game when the games are tight.
Marisnick with a base hit. Now Springer back to the mound. His throw goes into center field. Alex Wilson's throw into center field will score Centeno. And it's now a 4-2 Astros lead.
Alex Wilson did everything right here, except his feet got a little lazy on the throw. There wasn't anybody at second base when he thought there should have been. If he takes another little shuffle step, you see him hesitate just a second. Almost every time a pitcher does that, the ball is gonna sail arm side, and that is exactly what happened. He was expecting Kinsler to already be there, but if he shuffles his feet just one more time, that will get him in a better throwing position. It may not turn 2, but he probably is not going to throw the ball into center field.
It could have been a double play. It would have been close because that ball was sharply hit back to the pitcher. Instead, it goes as a fielder's choice. Error on Alex Wilson. And now the Astros have runners on first and third and nobody out.
You can see where the umpire actually goes towards second base. That was interesting that it was a double play situation, but you had your shortstop playing in the hole and your second baseman playing in the hole.
On the right field, coming on and making the play is J.D. Martinez. Marisnick's going to try and score. The throw, not in time. Jake with a head-first slide, and the Astros lead it 5-2.
Good base running right there by Jake Marisnick on the fly ball to right. J.D. Martinez does have a good throwing arm, and it is accurate also. But you know that Jake is going in this situation. Jake with the good speed and the headlong slide away from the tag and sliding his left hand right in over the plate. And then on top of that, it's got the flowing locks.
Great speed down the line. Yeah, that ball wasn't all that deep.
It wasn't. JD did everything he could do, but Marisnick is a difference maker on the bases.
Now Springer dives back in on the pickoff attempt. The Astros have taken advantage of some less than stellar defense tonight from the Tigers. Second run scored on an error by Nicholas Castellanos. Now the 2 runs in this inning might have been a different story had Alex Wilson able to turn a double play on the comebacker. Altuve swings and fouls one back, 0-1. Good little insight to the Altuve Cabrera conversation you will hear on the pregame show coming up on Thursday, and also on our Bases Loaded weekly show. How about Miggy saying he called me up saying he was struggling?
He's hitting 340.
He said, I looked at the computer, I see 340. What are you talking about?
I like what his answers were on his approach. Well, let the ball get here and hit it hard, swing hard.
Everything seemed to revolve around swinging hard from the advice from Miguel Cabrera.
It sure seems overly simplistic. I'm sure there's a little bit more that goes into it than just that.
Altuve with a pitch inside for a ball, 1-1. It seems just based on that snippet that you have Altuve who really thinks about things maybe more than he should at times, and Miguel Cabrera who has a completely different approach.
Yeah, Jose is a little, at times, overly analytical. And the one thing that Miguel does is he just lets his abilities do. He just does it.
Up the middle, Kinsler behind the bag, steps on the bag. Nice play by the Tigers' second baseman for out number 2.
Pretty fancy footwork right here by Ian Kinsler. You see him ranging far to his right. He's not going to throw Jose going to first base. So his only play is to try and get back there to second base before Springer just beats him. But a little unfortunate luck there for Jose, because if he has to throw the ball to first base, he's got no chance with Jose's speed.
Astros led 3-0 at the start of this inning. A 2-run home run by Mikey Matuk made it a 3-2 game. But the Astros have answered with 2 of their own in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Carlos Beltran looking for his first hit of the night. Struck out, popped up. And a ground ball back to the pitcher, Jordan Zimmerman.
Yeah, the momentum has swung back and forth a little bit here in the 7th. After the Matuk home run, it really looked like the Astros might be on the ropes a little bit, and then they drop a 2 spot here so far in the bottom of the 7th.
Altuve was barely off the bag, looking up at his big buddy Miguel Cabrera. Hoyt on one side, James Hoyt. Will Harris had been warming prior. Got to think if this is a 3-run game, it'll be Harris. If it's extended, it might be James Hoyt. Pitches away, 1-1 to Carlos Beltran.
And the reason that may be the case is because 3 runs is the number for a save, even though this isn't technically a save. It is a save situation, but Harris probably wouldn't be in there for the save. It would be a hold. But that's kind of the cutoff point between using your short relief back end guys and maybe your other guys in your bullpen.
You know something about a hold?
A little bit. Had a few of them in my career.
Had a few more than anybody in the history of the game. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That
Thank you.
Career mark. An unsung stat, but certainly one that is vital to winning baseball games.
Well, especially now, with starting pitchers going fewer and fewer innings, the reliance on bullpens is greater and greater. It's one of the reasons why I don't think we'll have another 300-game winner.
No.
Because starting pitchers just aren't out there enough. And we've seen salaries for relievers go through the roofs because of the reliance on the bullpen.
At this point, it would be shocking if there was a 300-game winner just based on what
you have to throw like 27 years.
1-2 pitches up high for a ball, 2-2. I mean, you're right. Just not enough opportunities to win games.
Well, think about this. If you throw 200 innings now, you're a workhorse.
No doubt.
If you look 30 years ago, it was 250 innings.
Right.
It's 300 innings.
Yeah.
You know? And so
that guy.
Goodness gracious. Huge number of innings.
2-2 the count to Carlos Beltran. In the air, shallow right. Back to second baseman Ian Kinsler in the shift will make the play. And that will do it. Jake Marisnick scoring on a head-first dive into home plate. The Astros lead
Name that Astro. Presented by your local Honda dealer. All right, we give you 3 clues, and then you tweet us your best guess at Root Sports SW. Here are your clues. Bull, let them play. Owns the 1996 World Series ring. Well, I know this one.
You got that?
Yes.
I thought you came up with the clues.
Well, I didn't even know the clues until I just read them, actually, today. I usually do, but not today.
Let them play.
Actually, I know this one.
Yeah, you do.
Let them play.
I wonder if Plummer knows it.
Has to refer to the Bad News Bears in the Astrodome.
Yep.
Here's Ian Kinsler. Back to the top of the order, new pitcher for the Houston Astros. And the first pitch delivered of this inning by Will Harris.
Will Harris, you see the numbers right there. He has been outstanding this year. Elevation in the ERA just a little bit, even though 241 is good. He's thrown the ball better than that. Had a 3-run game a few weeks ago.
On the ground on one hop, Alex Bregman retires Ian Kinsler, 1 out in the 8th.
Well, Will has really figured something out over the last couple years. Has a nice little cut fastball, low 90s, likes to elevate with it, and then has a very good overhand curveball that he can put hitters away down in the zone.
7 of his last 8 outings have been scoreless. The lone exception was the one loss the Astros had on that last road trip when they went 6-1. Will and Chris Davinsky allowed a combined 6 runs in that game.
Yeah, 3 each, and that was the game I was talking about that elevated that ERA some. But he has just been outstanding. 2016 American League All-Star. Did some closing for the club last year. Right now is in the setup role for Ken Giles.
Facing Nick Castellanos with 1 out and nobody on. And the count is 1-1.
We were talking before the break about what a workhorse is in baseball now as far as pitchers are concerned. There were only 9 pitchers in the American League last year that threw 200 innings.
Wow. Shallow right, George Springer. 2 outs. 2017 Coca-Cola Astros Buddies memberships are on sale now for only $25. Kids up to 12 years old get a voucher for 4 tickets to a select Astros game, priority access to kids running the bases, player autograph sessions, and much more. Visit astros.com/buddies to get a Buddies membership for your kid today. 9 pitchers last year, 200 innings.
In the AL. And there was a time that what general managers and managers are looking for from a rotation was 1,000 innings. That's 5 guys throwing 200 innings. Now that number has actually shrunk to 800. So where do those other innings come from? They come from your bullpen.
Why a guy like Chris Davinsky is so valuable. He can give you about 100 innings out of the bullpen.
Quantity and quality.
1-1 to count to Miguel Cabrera. Cabrera had the first hit of this game, an infield single in the 4th inning. You mentioned Nolan Ryan's workload. When he was with the California Angels, his first year with them, he threw 284 innings in 1972. Followed it up with 326 in 1973. Followed that up with 332 2/3. First 3 years with the Angels, he averaged over 300 innings a season.
In a couple of those years, over 40 starts, where now if you get 30, that's considered a full season.
Right, 4-man rotation back then.
And then the strikeout numbers are just off the charts.
329, 383, and 367 his first 3 years with the Angels. 383 strikeouts in a season. 1-2 pitch is away. It's 2-2. Will Harris on in the 8th. He pitched a 1-2-3 8th inning last night, retiring Castellanos, Collins, and Matuk. How about your bullpenner Mike Marshall, who with the Dodgers threw 208 innings in 106 appearances with the Dodgers in 1 year.
And won the Cy Young. We've had a couple examples of pitchers win the Cy Young as closers. And he was basically closing also, but he was setting himself up throwing over 200 innings.
Yeah, he was going 7th, 8th, 9th occasionally. 3-2 the count to Miguel Cabrera. Astros with a 3-run lead. Up high, ball 4. Leadoff walk by Michael Feliz in the last inning came around to score. Now a 2-out walk issued to Miguel Cabrera, and Will Harris will face Victor Martinez.
Will seemed to be pitching rather tentatively there to Miguel Cabrera, not really wanting to let him get his arms extended. Now he's got to bear down here on another very good hitter in Victor Martinez.
Yeah, their middle of the order can put it out all the way through basically 1 through 6 on a regular basis. You don't want to put the next guy on, because then the tying run would come to the plate. And it happens to be the reigning American League Player of the Week on deck. Victor Martinez takes a ball, 1-0.
Started him off with a curveball, and that was a very close pitch, the bottom part of the zone. Will Harris actually turned around, looked at the center fielder, and said, "Wow."
Long drive to right field. Springer on the move. He's there. He's going to have room, and George puts it away for the final out of the 8th inning. Martinez flies out to right, and that'll do it for the Tigers. We're in the middle of the 8th, 5-2 Houston.
The dealer, we gave you 3 clues. I didn't even get to check if anybody got this correct. Did you guys get any tweets up there, or did you know who the Astro was today?
Bob Watson.
It had to be a pretty easy one for me to get it. For me, Bull gave it away. Also, owner of 96 World Series ring. That was the New York Yankees, and he was the general manager at the time. And then let them play in the Astrodome. That was
Tanner, the shortstop, running around during the Bad News Bears because they wanted to let the big leaguers get on the field. But no, let the Bad News Bears play. Got the chant going.
And Bob actually came out of the dugout, helped lead the chant.
On we go to the bottom of the 8th. Marwin Gonzalez will face the new Tigers pitcher. His name is Warwick Saupold from Australia.
Saupold's 27 years old. Throws the ball in the low 90s, has a slider and curveball. This is second stint with the Tigers, just got called up from AAA just a couple days ago.
What they did when they brought up Saupold, as this pitch goes back to the backstop, as Marwin skips out of the way, is they sent Anibal Sanchez down to AAA Toledo. Sanchez throughout his career has been primarily a starter, And the Tigers decided, let's let him try and start again because he hadn't really been doing as well out of the bullpen.
And Sanchez, a big free agent signing for this team a few years ago, and just has not thrown the ball well at all.
In the air, opposite field, towards the wall. Upton leaps on the wall, and he can't make the play. Marwin Gonzalez at second, thinks about 3, but he'll hold up with a leadoff double. He has now reached in 17 straight starts. Gonzalez, a leadoff base runner in the bottom of the 8th.
Marwin gets a pitch up and out over the plate from Soppold and drives this kind of a high looping shot and hits off the mechanical scoreboard. Looked like a fastball. Marwin not trying to pull it, knows he has power to hit the ball over the scoreboard in left, much less off of it. You see the effort there by Justin Upton. Comes up a little bit short, shows his hops though, but does recover and keep Marwin to just a double.
Been quite a April-May for Marwin Gonzalez, especially the month of May. During this torrid stretch, Yuli Guriel, home run, hit by pitch, and a fly out to left field. This pitch rides in on Yuli, 1-0. Guriel got the scoring started for the Astros with that solo shot to lead off the bottom half of the second inning. Way inside, 2-0. Yuli does use the right side of the field very well, and you would think right now he's thinking about moving Marwin along.
He is a very good situational hitter. He knows what his job is to do right here. It is to at least get Marwin to third base, if not drive him in. But he is so good at staying to that side of the infield. He's trying to drive him in here with less than 2 strikes.
Big swing there at the 2-0 pitch, 2-1.
Did you flinch at that?
It's coming right back.
That one came right back at us. Didn't get over the net, though.
I had a lot of protection. Soppold, fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. Pulled, foul, 2-2.
Soppold in AAA actually was both a starter and reliever. He actually started 7 games for the Mud Hens. 2-0 record with a 290. That's not real easy to do, be a reliever and a starter, because it's 2 completely different mentalities. As a reliever, you have to come in, you have to be able to pound the zone. You're ultra aggressive. You know, as a starter, you know, you're trying to finesse a little bit more to get through the lineup a couple different times.
Marwin started early and he is picked off. And now they drop the throw. Castellanos still recovers and no, not in time. What a convoluted play that was. There were about 2 or 3 mistakes made during that play, and Marwin finally gets back in safely.
Well, the first one was by Marwin himself. He thought he had it timed out. He's kind of slow getting up at second base. But he thought he had Soppold timed and he was leaving early. Soppold gives him the inside move, throws the ball over to Castellanos, and he just drops the ball. Well, while he does that, Marwin stops going back to second base because he's not looking. Didn't we just say something about the Bad News Bears?
Yeah, that looked like. I mean, Marwin eventually gets back in, but
come to a major league game, little league game breaks out.
The only thing Marwin did really well there was slide to the outside part of the bag.
He did, and kept his foot on the bag as he passed it to make sure that there wasn't going to be a replay.
So after making a mistake, leaving early, he gets back. They're going to give Nick Castellanos an error on that play, saying that should have been an out on a caught stealing, an assist to the pitcher, and an error to Castellanos to keep Gonzalez on base.
Third, we're right back where we started from.
Yeah. Third error of the ball game for the Tigers. And now a full count on Yuli Guriel. He does go to right field. Backs off J.D. Martinez a couple of steps. Marwin will tag. Martinez with the throw. Safe. What a throw by J.D. and Marwin's having quite a workout on the bases.
Showing the gun from right field. This was not a short fly ball. Yuli actually hit this ball pretty well. Sets up on the ball nicely before he catches the ball, so he's moving forward and then makes a strong throw all the way in the air, right on the bag to Nick Castellanos at third base. And here in the slow motion, slow-mo brought to us by Mattress Firm. See that Marwin just beat the throw, but my goodness, what a throw by J.D. Martinez in right field.
Well, Marwin living dangerously, but he's in scoring position at third base now with one out, which brings the Tigers infield in. And Alex Bregman, the batter. Bregman on the season batting .371 with runners in scoring position. Hitting with a runner in scoring position for the first time tonight.
Infield is in for the Tigers, so that means the batting average for Bregman, just add 100 points to whatever it is.
Normally .371 hitter with runners in scoring position.
He's hitting .255 going into tonight. Right now he's at an even .250 after a couple at-bats, 3 at-bats tonight. So usually what you do when the infield comes in is you just add 100 points. Now he goes from a .250 hitter to a .350 hitter because there's so many holes with the infield in.
Upstairs with a fastball, 1-2. Bregman's grounded out 3 times, once into a double play.
He's been a little antsy at the plate tonight, but this at-bat so far in the 3 pitches that he's seen, he's nice and calm at the plate. He's got an idea of what's going to happen here, what he's trying to do, and he's not being antsy at the plate to do it.
Swing and a miss at the slider. Bregman goes down swinging. So Gonzalez stays at third base, and now with 2 outs, it's Juan Centeno's having himself quite an Astros debut.
Gets a Jordan Zimmerman fastball right down the middle and puts it into the seats in left, actually puts it in with the fans in left, and then a nice single to right field on a pitch out over the plate. And he just got his first intentional walk of his 2017 big league season.
I can't imagine Centeno has been intentionally walked much in his career. We're looking that up to see if that might be his first. Quite a debut. He's on 3 times. He scored a couple of runs, and now he gets the intentional walk. Jake Marisnick bats with 2 outs and runners on the corner.
James McCann behind the plate just told Miguel Cabrera to heads up for the push bunt here with 2 outs to try and drive in Marlon Gonzalez from third.
Called strike on the corner, 0-1. Again, you have the situation, 3-run lead or less, it'll be Ken Giles. 4-run lead or more, it'll be James Hoyt.
By the way, Sapol threw a very nice slider down and away to Alex Bregman to strike him out before the no-pitch intentional walk.
With the commissioner in attendance. It has been confirmed by Phil Boudreau, our excellent statistician in the booth. That is the first major league intentional walk issued to Juan Centeno.
He didn't even get to enjoy it because you don't have to throw any pitches anymore. Stand up there with your bat on your shoulder.
1-1 pitch inside corner. Jake thought that was off. 1-2.
Been a couple pitches tonight that Jake hasn't been real happy with from our home plate umpire Carlos Torres. Saw the catcher set up away, but the ball was on the inside corner.
Jake 2 for 3, an infield hit and a base hit up the middle. Upstairs 2-2. Jake has had limited playing time, but really has produced well this year for AJ Hinch. 2 more hits tonight, has that average up to 283, 4 home runs. Risnick's only had 53 at-bats on the year now. Up the middle, base hit center field. Jake with a 3-hit night. drives in an extra run. It's now a 6-2 game. RBI single by Jake Marisnick.
Jake Marisnick with good situational hitting right there. Sapolsky, the pitch before, just went fastball up above the zone. Then he goes breaking ball down. Doesn't get it into the dirt, actually throws it for a strike, and Jake puts a good swing on it and drives this ball up the middle to drive in Marwin Gonzalez from third base.
Jake had not started a game since the Miami series. That middle game in the Miami series, Jake hit 2 home runs and had a double, 10 bases in that game. Started the next day, the day game Wednesday, but hadn't started a game since last Wednesday. Tonight, 3 more hits in 4 at-bats. Here's George Springer. Springer, big swing, no contact.
First pitch slider from Sapolsky. George was looking for that first pitch fastball, didn't get it.
What that base hit does, at least for now, we'll see how the top of the 9th plays out, but for now, it sits Ken Giles down, who has pitched the last 2 nights.
Looks like James Hoyt is getting ready now that it's four runs and it is not a save situation.
The Astros still keep track of guys like Giles that get heated, even if they don't come into the game, but it's vastly different than actually pitching in a third string.
They do it a lot better than back when I was still playing. I played for some managers that if you didn't get in the game, it didn't count what you did in the bullpen.
0-2 pitch, fly ball to right. Should be the final out of the inning. J.D. Martinez waits, puts it away, and that does it for the Astros. But an additional run in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Astros lead at 6-2. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And by Shoppa's Farm Supply, your John Deere dealer along the Gulf Coast. Come by one of our 8 area locations. Shoppa's, all things John Deere. To the 9th inning we go. Astros looking for a win for the 2nd consecutive night against the Tigers. Detroit with 2 runs on 3 hits. They've committed 3 errors. Astros 6 runs on 8 hits and have not committed an error. They turn the ball over in the 9th inning to the right-hander James Hoyt.
James Hoyt, the 30-year-old right-hander, leads all relievers in the AL in strikeouts per 9. It's 17.1. Throws a low to mid-90s fastball and a very good slider with a lot of depth, and that's what he's getting a lot of swing and misses on. But Todd, that is a huge number. Strikeouts per 9, 17 strikeouts per 9 innings is kind of crazy.
Basically 2 an inning for a guy that did not break camp with the team out of spring training.
Yes, this is his 9th game. In his last time out, he did give up a run, but it was the first time this season in his 8 games that he didn't record a strikeout in his 2/3 of an inning.
Down in the count, 2-1. Astros trying to avoid having to use Ken Giles for a third straight night. That extra RBI run by Jake Marisnick, making it a 6-2 game, brings James Hoyt in as he faces the 5, 6, 7 hitters for the Tigers. JD Martinez fouls one away. 2-2.
Todd, you were talking about paying attention to how many times relievers warm up. I really did play for some managers. I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. But you warm up 3 or 4 times and don't get in the game.
Base hit up the middle. JD Martinez with his first hit in this series. He's a leadoff base runner in the 9th.
And they talk to you in batting practice the next day and go, well, why are you sore? Why am I sore? I threw 3 innings in the bullpen. And you didn't even put me in the game.
Yeah, I would think that you or any other reliever who pitched 10, 20 years ago would appreciate all the details that are being put into watching bullpens now.
One of the things I had to learn very early in my career is how to warm up correctly and then stop throwing. You see, especially young relievers all the time, they throw and they throw. And all it is nervous energy. But you got to figure out what do you need to do to get ready and then throw a pitch every 3 or 4 pitches in the game at that rate.
Fastball for a strike, 0-1.
Because to tell you the truth, you don't get sore by the pitches you throw in the game, unless you throw a big number that you're not used to. You get sore because you warm up 2 times prior to that, and your 15 pitches that you threw on the game mound is actually 45 or 50 with what happened in the pen.
Fouled away, it's 0-2. When you warm up, as Hoyt did in the 8th and the 9th, that's not extraordinary. We see that happen a lot. But once you get to that 3rd time, I would think 4th time, now you're like, oof.
Well, again, especially for young pitchers, they just keep firing the ball and firing the ball. There would be times if it was only 10 or 12 minutes in between warming up, I may not throw a pitch. Because,
for 10 or 12 minutes?
Yes, because if I do go in the game, the manager, you have time. The manager walks out to the mound. He talks to the pitcher. Then he gives the signal to bring you in. You have time. Then you have 8 pitches on the game mound also. So you have time to throw another, 8 or 10 pitches if you need to.
Swing and a miss on that slider. What Mike Stanton was talking about. Justin Upton goes down swinging. That's become James Hoyt go-to pitch with 2 strikes.
The reason it's so effective is the fastballs earlier in the count. That comes out on the same trajectory as a fastball, and then the bottom falls out of it. Upton can't hold the swing and ends up striking out.
Here's Mikey Matuk, who hit a 2-run home run his last time up. That came against Michael Feliz and made a 3-0 game a 3-2 game. This pops out of the glove of Juan Centeno, but not far enough away for an advancement by JD Martinez. A lot of work tonight for Centeno. Not only are you coming up to a team and playing your first game with the Astros, he had never caught McCullers in a game before. A lot of these guys, none of these guys he's caught since spring training, so it's a quick study for a catcher in a couple of days.
Him and James Hoyt, they got together down in Fresno, but there was a lot of studying that had to go in to get ready for this start. Not necessarily to catch the pitches, because he had caught, maybe not recently, but he had caught Lance McCullers Jr. in spring training. But it's more, what is our game plan? What are we going to try and do for these hitters? What is our approach going to be in the first inning, the second time through the lineup, maybe the 3rd time through the lineup? How are we going to approach these guys? And there is a lot of information he had to absorb in a very short period of time to get ready to go out there and be a starting catcher in Major League Baseball.
And he caught McCullers in side sessions in West Palm Beach. Never caught him in a game until tonight. Pop up into shallow center field. Marisnick comes in. And the Astros, with 2 outs in the 9th inning, leading 6-2 as Marisnick puts it away. Don't forget, coming up after the game, it's our Astros post-game show. There they are, Kevin Eschenfelder, Bart Ennis. Bart's normally the chair you occupy out there.
Getting ready, has his big iced tea fan. He's got his iced tea stand sitting next to him.
They obviously can't hear us.
Doing their research.
They either can hear us or they're so locked into what they're doing, or they're paying no attention, or they can't hear us. But stay tuned.
We'll go with the can't hear us.
Stay tuned.
Instead of just ignoring.
We will have interviews from the clubhouse. We'll have Julian Morales with an interview on the field, assuming the Astros get this final out in the 9th inning. And we'll also hear from A.J. Hinch, amongst others, after the game. Tyler Collins is going to come on as a pinch hitter for James McCann with 2 outs and a runner on first base at 2-0 the count. Collins started and played center field last night. Went 0 for 2 with a walk and was caught stealing.
Tyler Collins, Texas boy from Lubbock, went to school at Howard College out in West Texas.
And he grounds one towards Guriel. Yuli will take it himself. The Astros win it 6-2. They have taken the first 2 games of this 4-game series from the Tigers.
The player of the game is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, and it is Lance McCullers, the starting pitcher for today. And tonight didn't go really deep into the game, but 22 consecutive scoreless innings for Lance with the 3 previous starts prior to today. You add the 5 on today, you get the 22. Has done a nice job of kind of figuring things out, spending a lot of time in the zone. He's got the good breaking ball. Didn't use the changeup as much today as we've seen in the past. He ends up being our player of the game, brought to you by Academy.
So the Astros win it 6-2 after being swept in the weekend series by the Indians. Houston now winning a couple of games in a row against the Tigers. We will have more, including the post-game show, right around the corner.